Best of 7. My prediction here, and I've been proven wrong a lot, is I think Nicov wins this 4-2. If it's a best of 5, I give Lix a better chance. But because Nicov is, well, Nicov, I personally have to go with him. He's played in every single Hidden Cup. It would be a huge upset still, but it would also be the first Hidden Cup for Lix, Dave. And in the north, we have Nicov playing as the Huns, and we have Lix from China playing as the Chinese here in the south. So I really like Chinese and their flexibility. Huns, I think, will have to put on some pressure here.
Yeah, Huns, not really a civilization we've seen, in the past year, opening for a big tournament like this on Arabia, but they've kind of come back into style now. I don't know how well they really match up against the Chinese. It feels difficult if you don't do that early pressure and if you don't have an advantage going to early Castle Age, just because the Chinese are so versatile. But with Huns, you can make anything happen.
Yeah, I think so. There's been a lot of changes over the Hidden Cups, right? And Lix now gonna shoot that deer. Not the best, honestly, but getting that food income. And there's been a wall nerf since last year, and also this map is a lot more open than last year. So I think Chinese, they've still seemed top tier, but normally they rely on their walls, Dave. So there's definitely going to be an opening for Nicov in the first early moments of Feudal Age. I've seen Lix pick Chinese and play Chinese on Arabia virtually every single time. I think it was very high up on his draft. And the thing about Lix is, while he can do the unexpected and go forward, he also can play meta. So with Chinese, he typically just tries to wall up his base before any Feudal Age pressure comes in. And then if you survive, the cheaper techs, the options, it makes Chinese very strong.
He has an interesting build too. He pushed the deer, kind of took half of it, went for the boar right away, struggling to find his sheep. He's trying to adapt his opening because he couldn't find the 2 at the back and just now found the 2 at the front. Now he's going to get a little bit greedy and push some more deer.
Yeah, it's a good strat because you've got Loom already, so you figure you can start walling before the enemy's going to show up. It's honestly crazy how strong Chinese are, even though the wall buffs have happened. But it also in a draft scenario is huge because when you have Chinese here, you don't really want Chinese on other maps, right? There's a lot of water on other maps. Chinese, well, they actually do have a pretty stellar water tech tree.
Did you just get front page, or is that just me bringing in 10,000 viewers?
Why is it every time we get front page, you happen to just join? Twitch pulled in.
Hey, Twitch, if you could accept my partnership application, that'd be great.
It's a great time, yeah. Next time I send them an email about getting front page for an event, I'll just be like, and give my buddy front page. Or not front page, sorry, partnership, thank you. But yeah, Dave, we should have a little bit of front page exposure today. People can hear all about the main event and see who qualifies, which is pretty sick on Twitch's part. I expect to see scouts here from Nicov. I'm not seeing anything really from either player. It tells me that they want to go for anything other than that. I certainly think Lix is going to wall. Nikov's got to play open here, though. Because if this gets to a point where a lot of camels and knights are out, it's really tough for Huns. I guess they could go pikemen, but even their halbs aren't that strong, and Chinese can always switch into their own archers, or they can go into Chukonu. So,
yeah, it seems like your win condition as Huns is that you're putting pressure on your opponent. So if you ever see the Huns player like walling up super early, that's probably not the greatest sign against Chinese. Nicov wants to put the pressure on Lix, and Lix is already walling up there at the back. So he's planning on playing a little bit more defensive. Not really a surprise to either of us, I think.
Yep, and it's also the safe way you probably want to play to start off a series. No one wants to have a hole in their wall and get destroyed in game 1 and then get tilted out of their minds going into the future games. So I think it's a good approach. But yeah, not a surprise for us. And Lix is just, man, he found the sheep. I was going to say, just unlucky not to find those there. But Dave, I wanted to ask you, you've been with me through so many big events and all the Hidden Cups. The fact that we're even having Cav Archers in the conversation is pretty rare for us, right?
It's very refreshing, but I feel like it's a pendulum right now, and it's about to swing back to where it belongs, Tristan. Because after Red Bull Wallow 3, I think they were a little bit... people saw that they can be good. There was a feeling that they're just trash in general before that. And then people saw that they can be good again, but I think people are overestimating how good they can be. So we'll see their usage drop off, I think, especially after this tournament.
I don't want to spoil, but yesterday Hart against Barles, and Leary was co-casting. Leary, one of the best players in the world, one of the favorites to win Hidden Cup
Oh no,
4.
Licks, your
And
scout.
no, into the TC. Actually, he won't lose it, or will he? He won't lose it, but yeah, that hurts. But just to finish my point, like, I asked Leary about Cav Archers, and he said he thinks Cav Archers are better, but he thinks that people are overusing them. And then in that game, when he disagreed with Cav Archers, the Cav Archers won. So it's really hard. I think some people are going to have differing opinions, and come main event, when we're trying to guess who is who, we might actually factor that into trying to guess what the players, or sorry, who the players are based on what they go for.
And Licks is going to reach Feudal Age a little bit behind Nicov. Nicov going for the stable, just like we thought, and he's going to play super open Tristan.
Yeah. Just control this with military here. And
how did he not find those 2 sheep at the back of his base? Wait a sec. Oh my god.
That's such a Nicov thing, man. He's the unluckiest player, I swear. Unluckiest player not to find those sheep when he's done everything else. But on the bright side, he's in here. You can see what Licks is or isn't going for. FYI, Dave, I didn't send you a message about this on Discord, but with the other co-casters, I think with Capture Age, I'm like a half second behind.
I can tell, yeah.
Yeah, so it's not something I can really fix, but we'll work with that, and we've certainly worked with worse, so that's not a big deal. Licks here could lose this villager, but I think is happy to take some HP off of that and try and run back to the TC as Nikov's trying to block here. And okay, Nicov showing what he's capable of, Dave, but also being smart there.
Yeah, he knew he couldn't take the Ville. He doesn't want to lose extra HP, and Licks is going to be fully walled here in a second.
Yeah, man. And it's the spot you want to be in. You don't need to be super aggressive with Chinese. All your technologies are going to be cheaper. Your options are going to be sick. And I think this brings me to Nikov's next decision. And I'm not saying it'll be now, but this is an opportunity for him to maybe switch to gold and go for ranges. It feels natural. You're playing open. You've got to keep track. But switching into archers suddenly can pressure those walls a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how Licks plays this out. So he's made, what, 2 scouts? He's not producing any more. Or no, he's producing 1 more.
Okay.
And then what do you transition into if you're Licks? Do you go range and then you just try and get up to the castle age?
I honestly feel as though this is a spot where Licks will be greedy and tower that gold and just farm in the back area of his base. A range switch is more than fine. It's not like that's a bad move, but if you use all that wood for farms and then protect your gold, you might just be able to get to knights really fast. Nikov's investing, I mean, he doesn't have to make houses as he's defending here nicely, but he's investing a lot more right now, having made the mining camp, having made the archery range, making archers. So that's the way I see it.
Licks is continuing to make spearmen too. And continuing to make scouts. So maybe he's just going to stick spearman scout, try and put pressure on Nicov so the pressure isn't on his walls at home, and then go up to the castle age, maybe add another stable. Who knows? Yeah,
and it's an interesting balance, right? Because Nicov might just be expecting 3 scouts and a few spearmen. So he figures, all right, I can send 2 archers out, and he's going to send it forward at some point, or he might, and then scouts could pounce on that. So Nicov is doing a great job to keep an eye on the strategy of Licks, but it's pretty much while he's at home, which sucks. You know, he can't do any counter damage right now. He just has to play safe, and it takes a very skilled player to be able to sit here comfortably and do everything you need to do when someone like Licks is on the prowl.
I love the fact that Licks can see those sheep in the background from Nicov. Okay, he's going to find them here. He's going to be like, how did you not find that, bro?
It's like I'm playing against a low elo legend here. He actually just leaves them there. I mean, it's not a big deal now. Farms are more important. And Nicov was really just searching for this army. And he pounces with his scouts, and I think this will end up being pretty good for Nicov. I don't like this engagement for Licks.
No, Licks is going to end up getting 1 villager, but Nikov's going to chase the army away. And now, that pressure we were talking about from Licks, giving himself enough time where he's not being hit at home, is suddenly gone.
Yeah.
And the archers are going to make their way across. The scouts are going to make their way across to his base. So he's going to have to do something. I think defensive tower on the gold would be okay, but he's still got exposed wood lines on both sides.
Yeah, there's the tower, but I agree with you. I don't think this was ideal timing. If the tower came in 2 minutes, then that'd be a lot better. But he has the tower now because of that poor engagement. He could have kept Nicov at home. An instant reaction from Nicov. He's just going to send the archers forward, spearmen forward, getting fletching. I think it's almost important for Licks here, and he's doing it, Dave, to make an extra layer of walls behind the palisades. He's doing it on both sides, with houses, just in case units would try and break in there. There's a lot of archers.
I think the problem is going to be the wood lines, right? Like,
Yeah.
his wood lines can both be ranged by these archers, even without the range upgrades from Castle Age. Like, you can still hit all the lumberjacks. So Lix is going to have to come up with some solutions here. He's on the way to the Castle Age in a second, but he's going to need to do something in that, 2-minute time period where he can't produce units.
This is sick. Yeah, he's going to need something. Can he hold with just walls? This is where, if you have a single area that's open, a single tile, it can lose you the game. And so maybe we're a little late to the stone walls in this open gap, Dave. And Nicov, realizing that seemed important to Lix, is going to pressure here. That one stone tile's at 137 HP. Feel, though, Lix would easily sacrifice a villager or two to get more walls down, and he's going to be on night soon. So key for Nicov is maybe use this time to wall up and make sure that you're prepped for nights. Yeah, this is fun Age of Empires, man. 21 military versus 0, but fast night switch could easily push it back. It's Nicov hasn't clicked up yet. And, ooh, I don't like the market position. He has to delete that. Place a new market. There you go. That's a market that he might honestly need. And it just keeps the units out. Creative. What do you think about that? Market foundation, walling out 23 military.
Well, you're just buying yourself time, right? He just bought himself, 30 seconds with that market. So that's great. I mean, it's still a big ball of archers here, Tristan.
Mm-hmm.
And Lix is going to have to get the knight numbers out. He's going to have to get them upgraded. I'm surprised Nicov didn't add in a few extra spearmen into that. But I think the archers for now are still enough to take out at least 4 or 5 knights.
It feels like it, especially with the hill and with good micro. So Nicov, I think, almost like Lix earlier in Feudal Age, Nikov's aggression now needs to keep Lix at home. Because if Lix is able to get some knights over, and it honestly might be smart to send 1 or 2 knights forward. The walls are not down yet, though it does look like it's pretty close, actually. So yeah, Nicov being the more aggressive player. We thought Lix would be aggressive. But we did think that Chinese would play passive, so I suppose we're kind of right and wrong on both counts. And Nicov just going to run away for now, Dave, and try and keep those units alive so we can upgrade them.
How long is that sheep going to stay in the back of Nikov's base? I keep coming back to that, but he's got, full vision now, but he doesn't see the sheep because it's Lix's.
He found one of them. It's just going to sit there forever, apparently. We'll keep everyone updated on the sheep. Knights for Lix have chain barding, but the knights need to engage against these archers before they're upgraded, Dave, and that's exactly what Lix is hunting for. He's got quite a few knights here, actually, and Nicov maybe stayed forward for too long.
Yeah, and Lix has the +2 armor, so he can engage against this, and this is not looking good for Nicov here. He's got to run. I don't think there's a choke point you can find here to sit in. You just have to save as many archers as you possibly can.
Wow.
Hope that you can get them upgraded.
That's huge. And I really felt like with a few spearmen forward, it could have been better. But against chain barding knights, this is the power of Chinese. Full wall, build a tower, no military control, and suddenly you're destroying everything. And I love how Lix is also starting to block off these archers with that weak knight, just to slow them down, to pounce and get as many kills as possible. Nicov has got to be real frustrated here.
Nikov's going to lose all of these. Do you even bother getting the crossbow upgrade? Okay, he did get it, and he's switching into cav archers now, but he's only going to have 3 crossbows left over after that. So that's a great clear up from Lix. Next steps for him, I think, add a couple TCs and keep up the night production.
Yeah.
After that, once you see the cav archers, what's your game plan?
I've been seeing a lot of scorpions because you don't want to go elite skirm against someone who is probably already going to have a stable to make a knight or two. Wait a second. You see Lix with his Vil? This is the first time of many in this series. We might see a sneaky villager go forward. What is this for, Lix? Is that the Siege Workshop villager? Is he not going to make it at home, Dave? Woo moment.
I feel like it's a risk coming forward, though, with that. Like a big risk, because cav archers can just run away from your knights and snipe the Vil. But, I mean, he's coming. He's there.
He's there. And Nicov, this is the thing about Lix. There's so many high-level players who would just make the workshop at home and boom. And Licks, he doesn't play like other high-level players, and it can really get you in rough positions. If you think about just the positioning of that workshop, it blocks off that gold, and it's very close to the main gold if Siege were to come out. So, not too bad. And also, Monk coming forward for Licks. It looks like he was about to convert a Cav Archer, and Nicov deleted that. And if the Siege comes out here in a second, I think Nikov's going to be under a whole lot of pressure.
Yeah, Nikov's going to be forced to keep his army at home, which is the biggest deal here. Because Licks has 3 TCs behind this. Once Nicov sees Knights and Mangonel, you could even maybe justify going for a ram in this position, actually, to hit the archer ranges.
This is going to be so frustrating. Look at this. Nicov thinks, I need to move out. I'm on 3 TCs. He's probably on 3-2. Let's move out. He's going to let those Knights there because he thinks he has walls. And now the Scorpion shows up. And he's like, wait, what? Do I come back? Do I go forward? What do I do? Look, there's the hesitation. You don't know what to do against this. And Licks is actually on 3 town center economy behind this. This is incredible play, and Nicov has to bail on his gold.
Yep, and all the time behind this, Licks has 3 TCs. Like I said, he's getting his farm eco down. He's going on stone now, so he's planning a transition most likely into Chuknu later in the game.
Wow.
And Nikov's forced to hang out just in front of his base, not doing any damage to Licks currently.
That said, I really like the job he's doing here, and maybe a mistake from Licks to not keep everything together, but he's finding villagers, Dave. That's why he's not saving the Scorpions. He's underneath Nikov's TCs. The sheep. The sheep is there.
Idle time, killing villagers. He's got the sheep again.
And there he goes. And now Nicov needs to run. It's even worse. It's not the front of his base. He has to run to the back of his base. And Licks is just in full control right now, Dave. He even has 2 relics already. This, having seen Licks for years, seems like the best version of Licks we've ever seen.
Yeah, this is a more meta Licks than we're used to. And he's read Nicov really well here. He's just going in with the Knights. Nikov's forced to keep the Cav Archer ball back. You can see how much of a struggle it is for Nicov to micro those units and macro his economy at the same time. Tons of villagers not working on farms currently. That TC point, or TC doesn't even have a waypoint on it. It's a big struggle for Nicov currently.
Yeah, and Licks is just, he's pretty much everywhere. Nikov's going to try and... Okay. He's going to wall in those Knights, which is kind of funny, but the other Knights are going to take a decent engagement. But the big thing here, I think, we brought up is the positioning on the gold. Look, Licks on the gold with 2 Knights. Siege is here. And 67 villagers for 67 is actually a surprise. Licks is only even on villagers with Nicov because he has been idling his TCs a lot throughout these fights.
Yeah, but if you look at the idle time, I mean...
Yeah.
it's a big difference there for Nicov. That's actually super impressive from Licks to only have, what, 17 minutes of idle time so far in this game. We're 30 minutes in already.
With the forward Vil, too, who just died, which can actually be a big deal because that forward Vil can be helpful with repairs on the siege. But that said, Nicov still needs to be very careful here. And honestly, I think Licks is the right approach. Just keep raiding the eco. And Nicov... Is he at a lumber camp quick wall? Yes.
On the gold.
He lumber camp quick wall. He's Huns. You can't make houses. That's new meta, bro. Oh my god. Oh, here comes Nicov, Dave. He's gonna try and counter here. Maybe that's the play. It's so tough because if you leave your base, you just die even harder.
Tristan, is someone else on Lix's account right now? He's got 5 relics already.
What?
Yes.
What? How does he have 5 relics already? And he's attacking and he's booming?
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's crazy play from Lix. The quality here is so high, and he's still pressuring at the front. Nicov knows the game situation, knows he has to do damage, so he's taking a risk.
Yep.
Sending his Cav Archers out to try and find an opening, but there's not going to be any openings. I mean, more stables already down from Lix, so he can have increased production and push them away with camels. He's going for another TC. He's on stone. He can drop a castle soon, and he's still pressuring. This is
unreal.
Really high-level stuff.
Seriously, I mean, can we really point out a single flaw from the way he's played this game? Like, the tower seemed good timing. The TC seemed like good timing. The attacks are good, and maybe here is going to be a massive flaw because I just said that. But I think he's comfortable. Take out the Mangonel, then the Scorpions will own everything, and he's just going to continue to raid and raid and raid. And Dave, this is Lick style. There's a castle foundation right at the front of Nikov's base.
It's like, okay, my question is it necessary to put it that far forward?
I think the answer is no, but I mean, I would make that castle at home every single time of the day, man. There's no question. A castle at home just solidifies your lead, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Nicov just calls it anyways. It wasn't necessary, Dave. Licks with a amazing start to the series here. And if you're Nicov, we talked about how Licks can play meta, but I don't think you would ever expect Licks to play that good with the meta. How worried would you be?
I think that's quite demoralizing if you're Nicov. Like, you're just spending the entire game chasing Licks around. And then even when you know Licks has no military and you've got this giant ball of archers pressuring his base, you can't get in.
Yeah.
You can't get any villager kills. You can't get in through the palisade walls. Like, you can't do any damage. At no point in that game was Nicov doing eco damage to Licks. Like, maybe some idols,
Yeah,
but not killing villagers, not in his economy.
well,
That's got to be really demoralizing.
I think he's probably kicking himself too. If he had a lot of crossbowmen at the start of Castle Age, he might end up falling behind a little bit, but I think he would have been fine. He had 20 military for 0. Enemy hit Castle Age, and then he tried to run, but Licks was too fast with the chain barding in the night, so maybe it would have gone differently had he backed away. But guys, this is a hype moment. We've got some Twitch front page for the qualifier. Remember, winner here moves on to the main event of Hidden Cup 4, and in that tournament, players are playing on hero names. We do not know their identities, and they do not know who they're facing up against. I'm actually just going to show the economy real quick, because this is even crazy. I mean, the vill count was even, but this shows the idle time you're talking about, Dave. Way more food, way more stone. Well, he's the only one who mined stoned, and more gold control for Licks. And for Nicov, he just had some wood. He probably wasn't able to pull villagers off of wood to go to other resources because of that pressure.
32k, that's pretty good.
Not bad. Keep it going. Just for a qualifier, let's keep it going.
It'd be sad if the main event doesn't even match up to the qualifier.
I have thought about that, especially since the deciders have had amazing sets, going to 7 games. That aspect I've thought about as well. But to the people who are here, thank you very much for being a part of this. Croco, I can't believe you, man. Guys, it is just a qualifier. We do appreciate the hype. Just we ask that you arrive more hype for the main event. That's all. So, Dave, let's talk about Nikov's home maps. He's got Bay, Hideout, and Islands. I would avoid Islands like the plague, personally. Do you have any guesses what Civ or what map he might prefer to go for?
Well, I actually already know, and I'm sure if you check your messages, you can find the game ID because they're moving, dude.
All right, they're moving along here, and they might actually be in the game then, because sometimes players will have spec delay for the game 1, and then they forget it for future games, so it's just back-to-back-to-back action. Oh my god, I've seen the Civ, and I can't believe it. Bulgarians?
It's a great matchup. Yep.
Wow. All right, well, give me a second to just get up to speed here for viewers. And ladies and gents, this is the second time that we've seen Bulgarians picked, but it is the first time that we have seen them on Hideout so far in the entirety of the qualifier. And having some problems here, Dave. Bear with me. Yeah, in the red, we got Licks again. Very strong performance in the first game. He's gone for the Franks here. Nicov going for the Bulgarians. What do you think about this Civ matchup?
It's one that I haven't seen too often, especially on Hideout. I like the Franks. Obviously, great eco. You can transition really nicely into Castle Age pressure with them. The Bulgarians are more of a question mark for me. What's the strategy here? Is it some sort of forward? Are you thinking Castle Age pressure? Like, what's going through Nikov's mind right now?
See, the Bulgarians pick, it's almost a pick that seems like a counter pick of some sort, right? And Hideout has been kind of a predictable map. We've seen a lot of Teutons and Khmer. I'd have to look back at the draft. But in a draft scenario, you kind of break down the draft. You say, okay, he's going to use these civs here, this civ there. I never would have put Franks as a Hideout pick. It's not a bad civilization in post-imp. In fact, it's still really strong, but it's just not a civ that you've seen here. You've seen it on Arabia and other maps. So without looking at the draft again, my guess would be that maybe Nicov was not expecting Franks. And so what's going through Nikov's mind is, let's keep him away from some castles, because I think that this might be one of the rare moments where the go-to unit could be throwing Axemen, because Bulgarians are all about infantry and some of their own cav. And I could see Axeman Halberdier from Franks just being a 6-6 composition against Bulgarians.
Do you think Nicov thought Lix was going to go for something like Celts, maybe?
Yeah, like some type of a... Again, I'd have to look... Actually, you know what? We have the time. I'm going to tap out to the draft real quick and see what Lix had. Lix had... He had Khmer and Celts. And yeah, those two civs, I think Bulgarians would be really good against. Khmer especially has been picked a lot on Hideout. And Lix, I don't know if he was expecting a counter pick or what, but yeah, this is definitely a surprise to Nicov, no doubt about it. But Dave, the Bagane's two-handed swordsman mixed in with your own halbs, I mean, I think they have 8 melee armor. Actually, I didn't think about that. I suppose with melee armor, maybe the two-handed swordsmen are good against axemen. It just feels really weird to say two-handed swordsmen are good against axemen. Oh, God.
I guess so, but then you're banking on the fact that the game is going to go to that stage, you know?
True. Yeah, very true. I'm wondering if maybe Nicov puts on some pressure then. You get the Man-at-Arm upgrade for free. Maybe take some map control with Man-at-Arm and like a tower rush of some kind. And there's a lot of neutral golds to control on this map.
Nicov is sending a villager somewhat far forward, but only one villager. So maybe he wants to wall early. Maybe he's going to play for the super late game here.
Well, he scouted much earlier than Lix. I think Lix is going fast castle because Lix has just been pushing in deer. And when Nicov scouted, he did see the deer being pushed. What is this? I mean, he could just make the barracks forward because then the militia would be close by. And then if he needs future reinforcements, it'd be fine. But it's a little weird to see this right now. There. Okay, that's it, I guess. Well, you know what? If he needs more than 3, which is the traditional amount, then that barrack position will be pretty solid.
How do you follow up this? Do you send villagers forward for a tower, or do you just keep the men-at-arm pressure?
So I've seen villagers follow it up with towers, but it's weird to me that he wouldn't just send 4 villagers and make the barracks there a little bit later. You know? So I actually felt like a moment ago he would just make a range with that villager, and that was it. But now here comes 4 villagers. So there'll be 5 villagers going forward to build towers, and yeah, it'll just be men-at-arm tower. And truthfully, Dave, one of the best builds against someone going fast castle on this map, because there's almost a guarantee that stone, gold, or berries are going to be denied as those resources are kind of close to the walls. In this case, Nicov doesn't scout at it, but if he hits that gate area, that'll deny the berries and take Franks off of food.
Well, if he hits the gate on the right as well, Lix isn't going to have many stone options.
True.
So if Nicov is planning on going to... Yeah, he's going to stone, so he's going to want more than one tower. And if he gets a position in here, it's going to be tough for Lix to fight that back. With no stone of his own, only enough for one defensive tower.
I think Lix is assuming an awful lot here. He really has not been aggressive with his scout. He even has the scout outside of his walls. And Nikov's now on the prowl here to scout things, and he'll see Lix's scout. He should kill Lix's scout if he noticed that. It's a feudal age scout now, but here he comes. And like I said, he's not going to have the food to go up. This is a great play from Nicov.
Yeah, and the panic houses from Lix. He realizes he needs to get something behind this. The gate gets shredded, and he has 2 houses, so he's going to be able to delay a little bit, but now he's got to react with something else. And he's gone to stone with a couple villagers right away. That was immediate decision-making from Lix.
Yeah, when you get tower rush, it's so hard to know what to do, man. Sometimes you have to wall, you have to pull villagers from resources, then you need to send them somewhere else. But in this case, I think Lix, having dished out a few tower rushes in his day, knows. But Nicov knows too. You're not in feudal age yet. You don't have military yet. And I think Nicov is just going to follow this right up with a tower. Yeah, Lix is going to have to go for the most awkward counter tower ever right next to his TC, I think.
Yeah, and he's going to have to force it up with a ton of villagers. Make sure this goes up. Try and wall your villagers in if you can. There's still the men-at-arms from Nicov running around. And Lix is going to wall the entrance behind.
Ooh.
So no reinforcements can come in.
Ooh, it's a little awkward for those vills, right? Because the men-at-arms are still there. So it's not like... Okay, never mind. Nicov had a moment there to attack them. And now, I guess in theory, Lix could honestly just place another tower, and Nikov's kind of trapped in here. But for now, Nicov seems worried about that, and it's just going to break out. So
look at Tristan. Look at the resources from Lix too. He's dropping a market. I think he's actually thinking about clicking up, and he knows Nikov's going to be feudal forever.
Yeah. Even though the upgrade's free, Men-at-Arms still pretty pretty decent investment. And then you go up to feudal age really fast, so you're missing some eco upgrades. This is, in my opinion, poor from Nicov. It's too YOLO to not have your wood upgrade. You've got to have that at least. Farm upgrade's fine, but to miss bit axe, it's one of the most basic eco upgrades. I think that has to come in with the attack, as he's just looped around. And I guess we'll tower again, but Dave, you're right. Buy some food. Even take the berries now, because that's not denied. Lix might be okay here.
I think Lix has reacted to this wonderfully, to be honest. And I think Nicov maybe overextended a bit going right for that gold. Like, imagine you put a tower on the berries and the farms there.
Yeah.
And just kind of build your position and keep pushing in. Lix is going to have a lot more trouble defending, but going out to that gold, reaching out that far, gives Lix an opportunity to push you back. And now it's just a tower war on the gold, but Lix will take that all day because those villagers from Nicov have been idle forever.
Dude, Twitch chat is really on point with the jokes. Sometimes someone just said, Nicov made a mistake trying to make it messy against Lix. It's the perfect way to explain the situation here. Because we've seen so many people struggle against messy forwards throughout the years. But Lix has normally been the one dishing out the punishment. And he's like, oh, you're going to bring this to me? That's funny. I know exactly how to deal with this. Thank you.
This is like in Batman when Bane's like, I was born in the darkness. That's Lix. Dude, that's Lix. He was born in the Tower Rush, man.
Yeah, seriously. And that was a wonderful Bane voice, I have to say.
I've been working on it.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie.
It's been a couple years you've been saving that one, I'm sure. But there goes Lix. He is still off of berries, but it is really helpful. Oh, who lost a villager there? Well, Lix just lost a villain on the gold. Okay, Nicov being stubborn. But yeah, anyways, as I think the tower will go down, I think Lix has just got to think about what he wants to do in the next stage. You can follow it up with some knights, possibly, maybe just boom. Awkward spot, but Nikov's tower should get shot down, and his villagers will need to run away.
I'm so impressed by that defense from Lix. As soon as he saw the tower, it was clear he didn't know what was going on. He wasn't scouting it early. His scout was like on a random area of the map. He had no idea Nicov was coming forward.
Yep.
He sees a tower foundation going up on his gate, immediately double house walls, immediately sends villagers out to stone, and immediately walls diagonally towards his TC.
And now watch.
He knows, yeah, he
another
knows all the
tower's
pressure
gonna come
points.
in. Yeah, another tower's gonna come in, and he just has the stone, and he can immediately counter tower this. Drops off the stone, drop a counter tower. But I will say for Nicov, while I don't necessarily agree with fletching right now, I don't know if that's a high priority upgrade, though it is cheap with Bulgarians. If he's able to wall this choke point where the barracks is, and maybe get walls up elsewhere, it's going to put pressure on Lix to take map control back. And Nicov does not have to worry about a real counter right now, because all Lix is doing is defending. He's even repairing his mill, which is probably a misclick. And oh, that's 2 vills now that Lix has lost to this attack.
2 vills. Nicov is ahead by quite a few, but Lix is going to be into the castle age way quicker than him. Nicov still quite a ways away.
Wait a second. Oh my god, Dave. Look at Lix's scouting. He doesn't know where Nicov is, and he's made his stable on the left, which is probably the worst position if you ever wanted to hit Nicov. But wait a second, Nicov. You've got to be careful Lix doesn't trap you here. Lix is trying to wall in the tower, but Nikov's rushed down the tower. What on earth is happening? Actually, Dave, with the stable not being here, Nicov killing 2 villagers, I'm beginning to believe a little bit for Nicov.
Yeah, I think Lix needs to... Oh, man, Lix doesn't have enough stone, dude. He's got to buy stone and then probably go out and TC that stone or something. Yeah. Secure that somehow on the outside. He's walling in his wood line here as the men-at-arms from Nicov are trying to do some damage.
And this is also just this is how it works when it comes to messy strats. If you stay there long enough, there's always a chance, even if the enemy defends the first, the second, the third time, that the 4th time something could happen. And now for Nicov, economically, it's pretty solid at home, actually, and he's got a market, so he might click up soon. But I think I would get those villagers out of there at this point, because the enemy has knights, enemy has a siege workshop. You killed vills, you don't want him to be able to get these 5 kills.
Yeah, and there's not really a path that you can take, right? Like, you see you're denying those farms, but if you place another tower forward there, you're only going to deny 1 more farm.
Yeah.
And you're not really going to secure that stone any more than it's already secured. I think the thing for Nicov here, wall up those towers and then send your villagers home.
Yeah, it depends on the outlook here. He seems to be sending a lot of spearmen forward. He is Bulgarian, so it's 350 stone to make a Krepos. And if you get a Krepos drop down,
True.
that could end the game. So
True. And Lix still hasn't gone out to that stone. He's how many does he have on gold right now? He's got 19 villagers around that gold, and he's got his TC waypoint onto the gold.
hey man, this is some controller player eco right here. Just use that market. Oh man, but yeah, it looks like by the time Nicov loses these towers to the Maganel, he should have enough to protect his vills for now, and at the very least, he could drop a somewhat forward Krepost. I'm still really interested in what's going to happen on the left. I mean, Lix just dropped off a relic at the monastery. It's the longest journey he could take, but he is going over to Nikov's base, and I also don't think Nicov would ever expect any attack from that side.
Yeah, I think that's the idea from Lix, right? He wanted to defend at home, show a little bit of military, and then push when Nicov wasn't expecting it. And if you put the military buildings on the right side, Nikov's going to see that. He knew Nicov came from that direction. So the whole plan here is to just hold at home, make Nicov think he's done more damage to you than he actually has, and push onto the offside.
You know, if you look at Nikov's scouting, he did actually scout that monastery and stable.
He might take this monk, actually.
Take the monk and... Oh, did he know about that? Did he? Oh my god, Dave, he added a scout from home. This is so good from Nicov. He gets one monk. He might be able to get the second one, but that'd be unlucky for Lix. And he doesn't get it. Okay, so now at least Nicov knows that the attack's coming from this side. And I'm wondering if you even go for a defensive Krepost here, if it's needed.
I mean, you're on stone anyway, right? Is there anywhere you could put one in Lix's base that would be a killing blow? Maybe not. So maybe a defensive Krepost is the play. Or just... you know, TC on that side and send your military over and push him back.
It's funny, he's shifted to defend this side, and now Lix could just take back the other side. So it's... I feel like this game is still going to drag out. You have a second TC for Lix. I know his eco wasn't perfect, but he is Franks, and normally they can rebound. So as Lix is chasing one single knight with all of his knights next to the monastery, I feel as though this might go late now.
Yeah, and it kind of all stems back to the one tower that got battered down on the stone from Lix, right? Put him in a really awkward position. If he had just held that stone, he would have been able to drop more defensive towers and push back the forward from Nicov a lot earlier. But Nicov has brought himself back into the game.
Seriously.
With that play.
Dude, Nicov also sniped a monk with a 1 HP scout. So the scout that he added sniped a monk, and it kind of put a stop. I say put a stop, but that villager's still up there, and she's doing something. But yeah, for the most part, put a stop to any attack, and any of these monks that are coming out to get relics, which Lix worked on in the previous game. You know, it's something that a lot of players can't always pay attention to that Nikov's able to handle because he's so fast. And 3 TCs for him, Dave. Krepost on that one side. Yeah, this is going to go late. Great economy for Nicov right now.
Great recovery for him.
Yeah.
It really seemed like he was stalling out. Lix had defended really well early, and then Nicov made it happen on that stone, and suddenly he has, you know, he's got the villager lead, he's got the military advantage currently, and he's got map control.
Look at this monk on the left. Lix took that relic from Nikov's northern corner. He's just trying to take us back to his base. A lot of monks have gone down, but we know how important relics can be with that trickle of gold later.
Oh, the knights are going to camp. Knights are campers. They're camping the monastery.
I think we're seeing the pace difference between the two now, right? Like, that's something that Nicov was able to do and handle, I think, if it was in his situation. And maybe he just gave himself a little bit of initiative in this game. And again, the scouts, he could take out 2 monks. Okay, maybe he can't handle it right now. There's a lot to do. He's also booming. But yeah, so either way, it is something to think about. Lix loves his relics.
Lix is also going to stonewall the stone on the left side of Nikov's base. This is such a Lix maneuver. He's been doing this for as long as I've seen him play.
Yep.
If he has a forward villager somewhere, he will always stonewall lame. Not palisade wall, stonewall lame his opponents. And I mean, Nicov doesn't need that res right now, but it's going to be an awful annoying later in the game when he goes out for it.
A few conversions come in. I think Nicov will be happy with this, because at the end, he's taking out a lot of monks. And the monastery there does have a relic inside of it too, so maybe he will send a monk that way. He's actually using a monk to chase that villager around, and Lix is running away, so I don't know what her name is. But she's there, and we'll keep an eye on her. What a funny moment, man. It's so fun to watch, but annoying to play against.
Lix is going to take this fight, and I think he'll be able to clear up Nikov's military here. Well, maybe not.
Spearman, maybe?
Wow.
Yeah. And now the monk, I mean, again, another monk going down. I think we need a monk kill counter right now.
No upgrades on Lix's knights. None.
Not a single upgrade? Wow.
I was so confused.
Yeah.
They got melted, man.
Yeah, I guess if you're not getting upgrades and it's a mix of spearmen and knights for the enemy, you're gonna be in trouble. Nikov's hunting for that villager, dude, and Barbara, that's what we're gonna call her. Thank you, Twitch chat. Barbara is still hard at work. She's dedicated. And imagine if this goes late, you start to scout those corners for extra resources because you're running out. You might not have the time to take these resources later. It's a really smart move.
I'd love to see him like make a pen for the deer as well. That would be great.
Just for the YouTube thumbnail or something. A Mangonel now for Lix. I mean, he's losing a lot, Dave. And it's all expensive units. I don't even know why he had a Mangonel there. Actually, I think he was using that for the towers and then had no other way to use it. But 87 villagers for Nicov. I mean, he really is destroying Lix right now. 87 vills, 20 villager lead, good eco upgrades, and of course had a strong start. So he's got to take this to Imp, I think, and destroy there before it goes really late. And that is if Franks are even better late. We haven't seen this much. Well, she's gone. Sorry. See ya, Barbara. She did a good job, though. She'll be remembered. What would you even go for, Dave, as Bulgarians? I'm trying to think that through right now. Are you muted?
I was muted, yes. I'm glad you called me out on it that early.
Okay. Because there was a little bit of silence the first time. I wasn't sure. What do you think about going Conics with Bulgarians? I'm really not sure what they should shoot for.
I mean, if the Frank player gets into Axemen, Conics are going to feel pretty bad, right?
Maybe, yeah. I have genuinely never seen it. I was thinking maybe Axemen and Halberdier. Nicov again sniped a monk. The end Lix does have 2 relics, though. I almost want to see Elite Conic against Paladin. Because I think Elite Conic with full upgrades would beat Paladin, but it's just so rare that you see both of those things fight. Lix, realizing how annoying Nicov is going to be, is trying to stonewall this left side, but Nikov's back. Okay. Got villagers building houses for Nicov in the north. Nicov sees the stone walls. It seems like good game sense for him, and I think he's going to go Imperial Age soon, Dave. I'm struggling to see what Lix can do when he's behind by 30 villagers right now.
Wait a second. Does Nicov not have wheelbarrow?
Nicov!
Dude, bro, you've got 4 TCs, man.
Nicov. That's such a Nicov thing. Dave, I don't know if you heard this, but I've been going back and looking at previous Hidden Cups. And, of course, the thing with Nicov, the joke's always been that he forgets eco upgrades. And there was an amazing round 1 set in Hidden Cup 3. And someone researched wheelbarrow and horse collar like 50 minutes. And at that time in my commentary, I was like, there's no way this is Nicov, right? There's no way. It was him. It's just such a Nicov thing. Still doesn't have it. I mean, he's still in a great spot, but his economy would be so much more efficient with that upgrade.
I think he might be thinking about going Conics, Tristan. He's got another Krepos going down on the right side. He's got one on the left. And he's still on stone. There's no point, there's no reason other than going Conics to make a Krepos right there.
That's true. He could go a castle, which would be stronger. You could get upgrades. He's also going 2 monastery? That's a bit weird. I don't think they have the best monks. Maybe he feels he's behind in the relic war and wants to get relics quickly.
This is how it's going to play out. You fight with the Conics, you bring them back, you heal them up, and even if they die, they come back to life.
I'd love to see it, man. This is pretty hype. We question Bulgarians is a little weird, but we also question Franks in this position. Man, okay, thank God Nikov's going to ram down these walls nice and early, because that's actually getting annoying for me as a caster. I keep looking over there because of that mini-map. But, okay, Lix should maybe spot the Conics. Let's see. This is also important. I don't know what you'd necessarily go for to counter Conic. Probably Halberdier.
I think Paladin still does really well against Conics. Like, Paladin's such a strong unit.
Okay. If Nicov wins this set, viewers, remember that during the main event. Late eco upgrades, particularly Wheelbarrow, that is a very Nicov thing. His resources are just going to skyrocket now. 145 villagers for him. Normally, I'd say it's an overboom, but on this type of a map, it's probably good to go to 150 villagers and then delete some later.
I think if you're in Lix's position, you're thinking, I want Paladin Axeman. And if you're wondering how he's going to get the gold for that, he is bringing in his 4th relic right now.
All right. So, I mean, there's a lot of gold on this map, so relics will take some time to really pay off, but that's a theme. Also, for Lix, if he makes it in, of course he can play messy, but and he can defend from the messy. He loves his relics early. The monk there does get a conversion, but that should be deleted. Don't give it back. Okay, that's a very confused knight right there. What bothers me about late wheel is that he didn't follow it up with handcart either. You know, handcart is like, come on, at least get insta handcart, man. Jeez.
Ooh, Pikeman coming in. Cavalier research coming in from Lix. And we're going to see Conics versus Paladin, which is a matchup that I rarely see.
I think in all the testing I've ever seen or done, that Conics just own. Because what happens is, when the unit dies, the rider gets up off the ground and continues to fight. And at least in that fight, granted, no, Dave, the Knights had full upgrades. The non-elite Conics owned. So, elite Conics on the way. And for now, Lix, he kind of has to fight here, because it feels like if he doesn't win this fight... Wait, no, it's just GG. He's just overrun already. Look at this. There's Conics everywhere.
Yep, Nicov comes in right underneath that castle, kills the first Treb, and now he's into the economy. And you need a good economy to keep spamming out Paladin and Cavalier, and this does not look like a good economy to me right now for Lix. He's really, really struggling to deal with this.
What a confidence boost, too. You know, after game 1, to pick Bulgarians of all civilizations, snipe the amount of monks he was able to do. Forward, the forwarder. Crazy pressure. I like how we're seeing this unit, which is so rarely seen in our game. So you guys are really witnessing a treat here. Nicov has really picked some weird civs in this qualifier date, but he's made it work almost every single time. Incas on cross, Byzantines on bay, now Bulgarians on hideout, breaking the meta.
Look at the eco behind it for him, too. 160 villagers. If only they could harness the power of a handcart, it would be fantastic.
Paladin on the way for Lix. It does feel like, I mean, Lix is behind in eco. He seems behind in military. We feel as though maybe at least Conic Halberdier would be very strong, and that's actually what Nikov's shooting for. But Frank Paladin, unless you're talking Lithuanian Paladins with relics, they are the strongest Paladins in the game. And also there's Pikeman in there for Lix too, and the military counts even at least. It does feel like if Lix can hold, maybe, excuse me, he does have the relics for the late game. Maybe it's doable, but feels like Nikov's got all the momentum. Oh, but Lix with the trap there. That was sick. Forcing those units to fight.
Good little trick. He's going to clear up the Conics, but the Treb is going to take out the wall, and the Conics will escape. That's a nice little escape path there from Nicov. Nikov's castle on that hill there is in such a good position. Especially now that he's taking down the first one from Lix. Like, Lix is trying to drop one defensively to stop the push from that way, but Nicov is just going forward with another one now.
I mean, he's got the eco for it, man. At least he has this first stone mining upgrade, so we're good there. He's getting infantry upgrades. Remember, with Bulgarians, your blacksmith upgrades are discounted. So you're able to afford all these units, be able to then afford the upgrades on them. Even got stirrups, which makes these Conics even faster, and he's just forcing fight after fight. I think he should be fighting, especially right now, because Paladin has not come in yet for Lix. He's very close to that upgrade.
Yeah, it's only a few percentages away. Halberdier is in for Nicov, where it wasn't in for Lix as of yet. Lix is going to clear this, though.
He is, Dave, and that's before Paladin, and it's 30 military for both. I love the position for Nicov with the castles, because it makes it so difficult for Lix to push back. But it might not be the units that wins the game for Nicov if he wins. It'd actually just be this position. I really thought there'd be a stronger follow-up. Nicov doesn't have the numbers right now.
Well, it didn't help that he was pop capped for a bit there with his 160 villagers, but it looks like he's deleted a few of those, so he
Yeah.
should be more balanced out now. Lix has managed to wipe up the army from Nicov, and he's managed to keep that castle alive for the time being. So he's still in this game. I thought that Nicov was going to snowball there, but speaking about snowballing, here comes the villagers for the first Krepost in Lix's base. He's got a good position there, and he's got the military to back it up.
Yeah, and then he can take that stone and make more Krepos and more castles. You know what's even more sick for Nicov right now is that 4-tile gold is the gold that Lix needs, and it's right behind that castle. So if he pushes this, even if we feel like Paladins are good enough for Franks, I just don't know if Lix is going to be able to afford them. He doesn't have a lot of food. He doesn't have a lot on golds. And he also was going to counter Dave, and he realized that he can't do it. Oh, man.
Yeah, he clicked over there to counter, but I think he clicked over again past the wall in his unit's path back the other way. So there's no opportunities there, and his main base is getting cleared up. That's all his farming eco, or a big portion of it anyway. This seems like it's very, very over. What a good response from Nicov after that first game.
Yep, and again, the mental hurdle of getting dominated with the meta by Lix, and then to do what Lix typically does and make it messy is so cool. Maybe he did expect Franks. I don't know, but I'll tell you what, beating Franks with Bulgarians is not something that I've seen yet in this qualifier. And Nicov did say to me after round 2 that he was only a little bummed that he had shared some of his strategies because then other people could take it. But I mean, he's got to qualify, and you've got to bring your best. And Nicov has tied it up, Dave. That was a really fun game to watch.
It was really fun, and it had some swings too. Like, I thought the defense from Lix was fantastic early. I thought his responses were all on point, and then just a little bit lax in letting his tower go down on the stone, and the entire game seemed to shift from that point onwards.
It was also, maybe he got too excited to counterattack, because that stable on the left was a little weird. I think if he goes for the stable in his base, which is what most players would do, you just go stable workshop, and you maybe snipe those villagers before Nicov can save them. The knight counterattack didn't accomplish as much as he would have wanted, but I've got to give full credit to Nicov. We mentioned he could have lost some vills there. We mentioned how good Lix's defense was, but Nicov was just able to do so much behind it. Did even end the game with handcart, so he's improving there. And I'll just go to the statistics here before game number 3. It's like we just crossed 40,000 viewers for a decider. Check it out, guys. 183 kills for Nicov. The KD was not the most impressive thing, Dave. It was just the resources he brought in. More of everything. And that was the same for the winner in game 1. So, looks like the Boomers are winning so far.
Do you think there's something Lix could have done differently? Like mid-Castle Age?
I think he could have stalled the game out with more of an attack. But I think the issue was he might have felt he was so far behind in eco that he couldn't do both. But normally on that map, if you get some type of a snowball attack going, it could be strong. But think about how many monks went down. Nicov sniped like 5 or 6 monks. Maybe Lix getting relics that early didn't pay off. Maybe he needed to have the monks with him and go for some type of a push, and then Nicov would feel under pressure. But it's Nicov play that's so good, it's really hard to speculate on what Lix could have done more of after the initial attack in Feudal.
How do you... 40K for a qualifier decider. Wait a second, dude. I'm confused, Tristan. I know front page is big, but it's not usually that big.
I mean, it helps a little bit. Welcome in, everyone who might be watching Age of Empires for the first time in 20 years. And thank you to everyone who's been here every step of the way before front page. Every sub goes towards that main prize pool number. It's at 69,000, the main event prize pool, so appreciate it. And stick around because we have this full best of 7. Winner moves into the main event in 12 days? 11 days. And then after this is Slam versus Vinchester. And Dave, we haven't even talked about that yet. What about that one?
I'm looking forward to that. That was the one I was originally going to cast only.
Yep.
And I think you invited me to that because of Slam. Always looking out for my Canadian boys. But Vinchester is also a very, very entertaining player. It should be close. I mean, Vinchester 2020 was arguably his best year ever. And I think he's at near his peak form. Slam, always a question mark. on what he can bring to tournaments.
Yeah, and it's going to be fun. And you know what's so great about these deciders, and probably why there's been so much hype, is that there are already going to be new names in the main event that have never played in a Hidden Cup before. And in Lix's case, he was close to qualifying. In fact, he was one win away from qualifying last year, but still has not made it into a main event. So if he were to win this, would knock Nicov out, and he's played in every single one. And then in next case, you got like Slam versus Vinchester. Vinchester, believe it or not, has never made it to one, and Slam has played in, I believe, 2 of them. So yeah, it's cool how it's not really new blood, because a lot of these names we've known, Dave, but people have really stepped up. Okay, game 3 will now be on one of the home maps for Lix. And I'm 30 seconds away from hopping in, Dave. I can see the civs. It'll be Malians against Lithuanians. And this is an important one because both players valued their civs very highly in the draft. Nicov picking Lithuanians first, then Lix picking Malians second. So in theory, I mean, whoever wins here wins against a very strong civ for the enemy. And then, of course, goes up 2-1.
And this is Lix's home map, too. Malians are very, very strong on cross. You save the wood so you can get the more docks up, more fishing ships out, or you can go for some insane forward, which I think we might be seeing here from Lix.
It's true. All right, ladies and gents, I hope you're ready. Looks like people in chat are ready to go. A lot of Nicov fans out there, and also a lot of Lix fans. And like many of these deciders, there will be broken hearts after this, because if I had my way, if I could rig this, I would have rigged both of them into that main event. Lix in the red, playing as the Malians, and then in the blue, not too far away, we have Nicov. And Dave, this has been the theme. Players are normally pretty close together. Makes sense when a lot of the map is covered up in water. So let's talk about this Lithuanian build. Nicov, he starts with 150 food in the bank. 150 food in the bank. So with any other civilization, what you're going to do is you're going to start off with about 6 on sheep. But since you start with all that food and the map is a dock map, he's going to send his first 4 villagers to a lumber camp, which means that he should be able to get to a dock a bit earlier and get fishing ships out, which can give you a lead and then turn into a food boost to go to feudal and castle age and onwards.
Yeah, Lithuanians are very, very strong water map just for that, or not water map, water civilization, just for that reason. Mm-hmm. You can get the dock up quicker and you know, even 10, 20 seconds earlier for your fishing ship is a big difference at high level play like this. Nicov actually pushing in the deer as well. I heard Hera commenting on the deer pushing across yesterday. Maybe thought it wasn't worth it, but Nicov going to push one in, and Lix also with a couple.
Yeah. No shortage of food, I guess. You've got the deer, you've got the boars, you've got your sheep, you've got your berries, and you've got the water. I think the best way to describe this civ matchup is it's very power spiky for Lithuanians, and they probably have the highest peak, but Malians overall are a bit more flexible. So, for example, the first power spike comes in when Nicov makes that dock. He's docking already, and you notice that Lix doesn't have the wood for it yet. If you get the relics, and there's a lot of relics on this map, there's actually 4 on land in the middle, and then 1 in each corner, though it's a lot to work for. Then you get +1 attack on your Knights and Latis, so that can lead to insane amounts of attack. But with Malians, Dave, every wood building you're making is discounted, so that's a more steady flow bonus. And then you also have camels with Farimba. If Lithuanians go for trash units, you then have insane champions. So I think Nicov, and it honestly suits him because I think he's the more technically skilled player of the two. He's just got to use all these little bonuses to gain advantages and snowball them.
Mm-hmm. I think Nicov has to do some damage early too. Do some damage early, then kind of settle down, try and pick up the relics and Castle Age, and that's when you want the game to stabilize a bit. Yep. You don't want it to get crazy really early Malians against Lithuanians, because I think Lix can carry that momentum better into Castle Age.
Nicov is so attentive there. He saw the main gold. He saw that one tree, and he said, wait a second, that's a straggler. I'm not going to go anywhere near that. Had he gone any further to the north, he would have lost his scout. That is really good scouting. I think Lix even saw that, but Lix is just like, okay, you know what? There's just one more deer. We might see this when Slam plays later, too. Just let me push it. Let me take all that food.
Well, he's done a good job. I mean, he's got tons of food under the TC. Look at all those unharvested sheep. He's still got the ibex there he's taking. The boar's finally coming in.
Yeah.
And the fishing chips are finally starting to trickle out from him. But Nicov, I mean, this is the Lithuanian difference here, Tristan. Even against Malians, who are very good at getting fishing ships out early, Nicov is going to have 3 fishing ships to Lix's 1.
Yeah, it's almost always, if done correctly, a 2 fishing ship advantage. It is unreal. And it's a build that makes me question picking the Lithuanians on maps other than, let's say, Bay, Cross. Basically, any map that has water that isn't islands, I feel Lithuanians are top tier on. And we have actually seen a lot of players in the whole qualifier ban Lithuanians because they don't want to face up against it. So this is Nikov's first pick. Lix chose to ban Mayans from the draft and not this one. And ooh, interesting moment. Actually, Lix was going to attack that villager. Normally, I think that'd be a good time to attack the villager, but Nicov had already loomed. Nicov was already going to feudal, so it's just a weak scout for Lix.
Yeah, he started attacking that villager when it had no loom. So loom came in at the perfect moment and saved her life.
Nice. Yeah, and you can use these advantages to play very safe, right? Like Nicov walling on the left. You mentioned what he could possibly do with the faster feudal. Do you think maybe scouts is a play here, or do you still just go YOLO for pond control because it's cross?
I think scouts is a risk on cross, right? Because if you don't do any damage, your opponent's always going to have the fish behind.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to have a stable eco. It's just, I don't know. Scouts feels very risky, especially in a tournament setting like this.
Okay, looks like there's a pause. So everyone's freaking out. Like, give us the game. It's okay, people. It's okay. Oh, man. I like how Nicov has actually scouted this right side, too. Oh, no, he didn't. Sorry. He scouted the north. He scouted the left a little bit, but eventually those scouts will be important to see what's going on. And I actually think Nikov's doubling back, Dave, with that scout because he'll be in feudal soon. And that means faster scout with attack. And yeah, whoever paused, unpaused. And maybe Lix will regret losing HP like that. My capture rage will slow down a little bit here, viewers, and then we'll be back to normal speed. Not loving the opening for Lix.
It was Lix who paused, by the way. And I think Nicov was coming back with that scout because he saw the scout near his own dock.
Maybe that
and he was nervous about a villager following up and maybe a sneaky dock. I mean, he even put an outpost down there to make sure.
I like that approach because it's a lot to wall. So just having an outpost there, and then you know if they try and sneak a villager, and then you're okay. So I noticed that Nicov on the left side, he's got a villager there, so maybe thinking about a dock to control the fish. And Lix is, well, I didn't see this, and Nicov might not either. Lix has got militia, and look at that. Nicov not reacting to it. Was never expecting to see militia from this spot from Malians.
Yeah, Nicov going into a stable now. And Lix is currently sending a villager forward, Tristan. He's only made 2 militia as well.
All right. Well, here's the stable. And with stable, scouts will come out. He's got walls, Dave. I'm really liking the position. I don't feel as though Lix can do enough damage here. And I honestly think it comes back to scouting. He hasn't really seen what's been going on here. And so you combine this with the Lithuanians' advantage. It is going to be rather difficult now for Lix to realize, well, shoot, he's ahead of me with fishing ships. And I can't do damage, so he might need a game plan for a plan B. Excuse me.
So the plan for Lix was what? 2 men-at-arms with an archer range follow-up?
He probably just didn't go to golden time, honestly. And I guess it's good that he didn't make 3 because he wouldn't get in here. Nikov's going for a stonewall really early. He must be. I don't know if I'd be worried about that personally. But I see walls for Lix, and so maybe he's going to turn this into a YOLO castle age, Dave. Get your walls down, fall behind, and then all in with knights and camels and castle.
Nicov is patrolling his pond with a galley. He's actually waiting. He's waiting for Lix to show up there with that villager. He knows. He's like, I know who you are. I've seen you play before.
What's even crazier about this is there's honestly... It's not like there's no need, but he already has the outpost. So it's not like he would ever be surprised. But he, like you said, he knows Lix. And look at this sneaky villager. Yep. Coming on over. He's patrolling that galley, and that should be denied. Sometimes when you're patrolling the galley, it'll attack the dock foundation. But let's see. Yeah, hitting the Vil now, and Lix is going to be real frustrated with this. That said, Dave, I've seen so many times in this tournament how while fish is good, it does wear off. And look at the way that Lix's food eco looks. He's got so much more on food. I don't know what that's down to. It must just be villagers.
You remember he pushed the ibex and the deer, all of them. So
Yep.
he had tons of sheep left over, and he's still even harvesting them. He's going to the left side now with a villager to make a dock, and I think Nicov made the outpost at the top. He's going to notice it. He's definitely going to notice it. They're going to run into each other.
Okay, Lix is a god at quick walling, though. So Lix will see this. And I'm probably just jinxed him, but look at that quick wall, Dave. And Nikov's blocking the dock position with the fishing ship. What a play. He's blocking the dock.
Chop the wood and make a dock foundation.
Chop
the wood
to block the dock and...
What?
He didn't know the scouts were coming, Dave. He thought he could get over there elsewhere away from the fishing ship. And that's just high-level stuff from Nicov. Being attentive in the south and then being attentive in the west as well. He even has a scout over on the other side right now where Lix is docking. Great play from Nicov, though.
Yeah, he's exploring, keeping an eye on every single pawn there. And Lix actually sent another villager here. I always say this, Tristan. You never just send one sneak. You send two because they'll get the first one. They always get the first one. But they won't expect the second one.
He sent the fishing ship, too. He tried it again. Oh, God. That would be so frustrating. Oh, Lix. How I love watching you play. Like, it's if he does make it into the main event, I think he's going to be pretty easy to spot, man. He just does so many things that are very Lix-like. Because he would have had to have sent the second villager before the first one died.
Yep.
So, all right. He denies the second dock for Nicov there. And again, I'm looking at the food eco for Lix. He's actually going to click up here, and he doesn't have a ton of pawn control. So I think maybe we have to question Nikov's eco. Like the fact he's got 17 on wood and is just not making a mill on berries. That could be making all the difference. All right. Well, she goes down, and I think that what Lix showed us in game number 1 is that if he gets to cast lead significantly faster than Nicov, he's able to snowball that to victory. He was a little late with that blacksmith, which hurts his timing. But he's got that archer range. And I'm wondering if maybe he'll stick with archers and maybe make a switch into knights and or camels. I think either one or both could be great for him.
Nicov did spot that dock on the right-hand side, by the way. So he's sending a couple villagers out there to do something about it. Also, the stone walls at his base. Like, he's nervous, man.
That is weird to me. Like, that is really weird to me to see someone invest into stone walls when all they've seen is 2 man-at-arms to scout. And then, like, this is the force. He's stonewalled out. It's over here next to the shoreline. That is, I think it is nerves, right? And it might not end up costing him, really, but the fact that he wasn't on berries for so long will. Because the berries are almost all gone for Lix. And that's what? It's 5 times 125? Or not 5 times... 125 times 5, same difference, I guess. What are you thinking about Lix's position, Dave? I see another villager outside of his walls.
Yeah, and she might be found by these 2 scouts that are coming across. Might be able to see... I mean, he's got a fire galley on the pond to the right, so he's going to spot the dock from Nicov, but Nicov actually docked twice. Nicov also with some decent numbers in the pond to the left, as the villager is not going to be able to save herself.
And so I guess he lost that other villager to Nikov's archers and immediately sent another one. So all you have to do if you're Nicov is just kill the villagers in the corners, and Lix will always donate another kill. I guess that's what I've learned over the last 2 minutes. Good job from Nicov, but it's just the macro that's slipping here. I mean, knights, just like in game 1, could just destroy him. And if Lix really wanted to, at least on the right side, he's still got a dock up, and he could just get his water upgrades and try and win that 1v2.
Yeah, I don't think the dock's going to last for that much longer, though. He's got a demolition raft in there coming out.
Oh, Nikov's paying attention to it, though, and that was a great micro from Nicov because he could sense something was up, and now he's microing away. Yeah, Nikov's on point with the water control, Dave. I am noticing now, as Nikov's on the way up, you're starting to see what happens when Lix runs out of berries, and he doesn't have a lot of fishing ships. Only 8 on food. He's just now adding farms. He is adding a TC. It's just he won't be as strong as I thought it would be for Licks to be in Castle Age this fast.
Okay, so Licks is going Knights, and you were talking about food issues before.
Yep.
I mean, he's barely has enough to produce out of 1 TC, right? And he's going to have to make Knights behind that, get the upgrades for them. It's going to be a struggle for him. He needs an open pawn. And currently, the only open one for him is the top, and he's only got 5 fishing ships.
He does still have his dock up on the left side. And so he's got a window here to destroy those fishing ships and all the navy from Nicov. And I imagine Nikov's going to be distracted by the knights. Now the stone walls aren't looking too bad for Nicov. And I guess with his food eco, he will go for his own knights and probably a monastery with Lithuanians soon. I'm not sure how much everyone who's here has heard about this map, but if you've seen previous versions, there's a lot less food in each pond. You look to the south for Nicov. Got like 3 deep fish, 2.5 maybe to work with. And so switching into farms is actually, in my opinion, the better way to do it, though of course it's a bit slower. And this is what I'm talking about, 3 fishing ships for Nicov. Don't know if you need to use the demo there, but...
Yeah, well, it's a bit overkill, I mean. But you have the unit anyway, right?
Yeah.
Taking up pop space.
Exactly. He's probably like, raw, it's just fun to explode stuff, so... I like how Licks is paying attention to the right side, too. He made a galley to snipe the repair villager for Nicov, but look at Nicov. Good numbers here, and you'd expect he's actually going to have the pond control as the game goes on.
And Nikov's scouts in the middle while that fight was happening just ran right past the monk from Licks that was getting the relics. And this is great from Licks because not only are you bringing in extra gold income for yourself, but you're denying the relics for that Lithuanian player if they want to go into Knights and get the extra attack upgrades.
And honestly, forget about that. I just want to see Licks play as Lithuanians once. Because he gets relics so early. He would prioritize them even more, I'm sure. And there he goes, cleaning up the scouts, protecting that relic. Nicov is, though, doing a good job. He was patrolling on that one. He's now patrolling on this one. The scout is on 2 HP. Any other unit but a monk, and that scout would die. But monks cannot attack. And Nicov snipes it. That is beautiful play from Nicov.
Nicov also has quite a bit of presence in that left pawn. So he can easily take out the dock from Licks, and he's already adding fishing ships, Tristan. He already knows. He knows he's won that. Just need to send the fires to finish off that dock.
As long as Nicov gets that transition to land right, I'm liking his position. He doesn't have any farms, Dave. Like, just look at Licks' eco, and then zoom out and look at Nikov's eco on land. That could be a big problem. But remember, everyone, it's a big problem if Lithuanians get relics, and there's also a relic in each pond. It's a pain to have to make a transport, click the monk into the transport, and eject, and do everything else to get the relics. But +1 attack on each knight per relics when there's 8 relics on the map is 6. So I think if I'm Licks, I start to mount a little bit of a push here for control. And I'm liking his position with a mix of camels and some of his own knights.
I mean, you're talking about the farm numbers, but Nicov did just secure 2 pawns, and they have quite a bit of fish left in them.
True.
And he's making a transport on the left side. He's ready.
Wow. I've only seen one player get to 5 relics in all of the qualifier games. It was Vinchester with Persians. So let's see how long it takes, right? Because it takes your focus away from other things. All right, he's going for this one. You know what? He's making quick work of this, Dave. Got other things to do, of course.
Licks isn't really punishing him for this either. Like, if you're making transports on both sides, you made this much navy. That means you're going to have less on land.
Yep.
So Licks needs to pressure soon before Nicov can take advantage of the extra fish that he has.
We're going to see it, Dave. Another stable now for Licks. Really curious what the farming/fishing eco is going to do here, and what the relics and monks can do. I think with Lithuanians, it also makes sense in this position to just make a lot of monks for conversions. But if you look at the military numbers, if Nikov's paying attention to his corners, which he might be doing, you know, Dave, he's actually in the left corner with that transport. That's probably what he was looking at, and now everything could fall apart. Can he get conversions before he loses these monks? He does get a few. They could be converted back.
Gets a couple. It's still going to be tough, though, for Licks to push in here. Look at the way Nikov's base is set up. Like, he's got a TC on the right, TC in the middle, and he's got tons of production buildings. Like, it's going to be difficult for Licks to get anything happening.
He has 900 gold left, Dave. His main gold and his 4-tile gold is right there, and his Licks in front of him. That is a little dangerous.
Yeah. That main goal position. Wow, yeah, I didn't even notice that. That's crazy.
I mean, do you need to push in here if you're Licks? Do you just wait? And maybe even a switch to Pikeman? I think you definitely need your own monks. But, you know, as these relics are going to be coming back home for Nicov, he's going to be happy that he'll have that extra attack because he is going to be behind in numbers. The other thing that's really annoying about monks is you get all the attack upgrades and then they just convert your units. So, like, do you want to actually give them... Do you actually want to garrison the relics? Of course you do. And the relics will also help with gold income, so... You see what Lix is going to do on the right side of Nikov's base? Yeah. He knows about the gold problem. He sees that gold, and he's going to place some houses there. That is really smart.
He doesn't see the one on the left, though. He sees the two in the front and the one on the right. So if he walls the one on the right, oh, man, it's going to get so tough for Nicov here, isn't it?
Nicov switching to Pikeman, though, which is a great play. Big Maganel shot could come in here. I think you fire here if you're Lix. He didn't go for a shot. Both players will go for conversions.
That's a lot of monks.
That is a lot of monks. If he gets conversion out of every one, it could be good. But if he doesn't, Dave, he could lose this hill.
Yeah, oh, no. And it looks like he didn't, and he's going to lose the hill.
Oh, no. He's got all the attack, Dave, but he doesn't have the knights. And Lix, he says, forget about the pawns. I'm just going to take your gold, and I'm actually curious. Does Nicov know about the gold on the left? He does. Okay, so I think... What's tough about these games is he probably isn't realizing that he's completely out of gold yet because he's just looking to see how much gold he has in the bank and what he has on gold. He'll realize that's at 0 and then probably be able to run over there. So it's not too bad for Nicov, who does have 3 relics.
And Lix has gone onto stone now. I think he's thinking the same thing that I am. If keep up military numbers in the middle here, and then if at any point you get a castle on that hill, it's pretty much game over if you're controlling those 2 golds at the front side of Nikov's base.
This is a quality series because Nikov's thinking the same. He's banking up the stone as well. It's not really a position you'd want to go into typically, and Lix just runs in. He sees the enemies making pikemen, and I also like how Nikov's getting redemption. If he can convert those scorpions with his monks, then his pikemen can do a lot of damage here. But I just wonder. I feel like if there wasn't a hill here, forget about the gold. I feel like if there wasn't a hill, that Nicov might even justify engaging soon.
Lix just bought himself a castle.
Oh,
yes,
God,
let's go, dude. But he's only sending, what, 4 villagers forward? I think the other ones are stuck behind the mining camp.
Did he lock the gate? Is that it? I don't...
They're just dumb.
They're just dumb villagers. You don't want dumb villagers building your castle anyway, so...
Did you see what Nicov just attempted to do?
I think he tried to stop the castle with the Maganel shot. And the conversion, the monks, huge. And now Nicov has the hill, and Lix is going to run home. And Lix is going to run away from this, and it's now for plan B, Dave. He's actually on the way to Imp. Immediately clicks Man-at-Arms. And if he can get this castle up, I guess he's going to have to go champion here. But for Nicov, he's going to let out a sigh of relief. If that castle did go up, that might have been GG for him.
I think next steps for Nicov here, as he sees the castle from Lix and probably knows that he can't push in that way. Next steps is, how do I secure that hill? Like, what do I do if my opponent's going to be making a better military composition than pikemen?
Yeah, true.
And he's going to opt for a castle on that position. Now, it's good, but it's bad at the same time because it could get trebbed down.
You can kind of see that Nicov tried to place a mining camp on that gold on the right. And then he saw the houses. Lix is so annoying to play against. But fortunately for Nicov, while it didn't really look like it, I mean, he doesn't have the gold for Imp, but it does look like he's going to get it, maybe with the relics helping, and Lix is in. This is really annoying. I wonder if Lix can get enough champions out to maybe push before Nicov can make a switch into Cavalier.
Nicov on the way to the Imperial Age. Lix is going to be there quite a bit faster, though, and if you get champions, what do you do against them as Lithuanians here?
Can you go Latus?
Yeah, but you only have 1 castle that's on the front.
True. Latus. Also, I'd like to see Nicov maybe try and get that relic in the right corner. I mean, it will be helpful. You definitely want to make use of your bonuses. So I guess instead of Latus, you go for Cavalier. But what's weird to me, as Nicov gets Wheelbarrow at a great time, I feel as though Champion typically it takes so long to get into it, but Lix is going to have the time. And if he just goes for champion and trebuchet, that maybe Nicov could lose his hill. But I say that, Dave, we don't even see two-handed swordsman on the way for Lix. So the lack of fish, the lack of farms has hurt him. And maybe Nicov, as we see another castle, will be just okay. It's really a close game, and honestly, the series of the day so far, and maybe the series of the deciders right here. This is really cool to see.
We've kind of stabilized here a bit.
We
got a little bit crazy in the middle, but we're stabilized. And here's where I think this castle position is going to help Nicov because it secures that gold, but it also kind of hurts him a little bit because it's so far forward.
Yep.
He needed to place it there, but it can be ranged by trebuchets that are sitting under a castle from Lix. So it's going to be tough for Nicov to hold on to this area. But Lix is actually... Is he shifting to the left? Where's he going with this?
Who knows with Lix? Honestly, who knows with him? He hasn't clicked two-handed swordsman yet, so that's a bit of an issue. Can't help but feel like Nicov could have pressured with the knights and the light cav that he had. He didn't have many, but he could have used mobility the last few moments. He's going to try it now. And just look what this does. It does distract the enemy. Now he's going for chemistry first thing when he's an imp, Dave. And one thing I just want to bring up, military population is a little deceiving for Nicov. He's got 2 transports, a camel, a Latus, a scorpion. I mean, you can see it here on your screen, guys. 27 pikemen, too. 27 pikemen's not going to do anything against the two-handed swordsman. But I will say, Treb goes down for Lix. You'd think that underneath the castle that'd be safe, but with the Lithuanian bonus, they have so much attack, they took out 2 Trebs. That's huge.
Well, it's not even that. It feels kind of sloppy from Lix. Like, you always want villagers up there, right?
Yeah.
You could have walled in those Trebs easily, or just even had villagers around to repair. But like you said, he was distracted by the knights. Yeah. Kind of pulled him off.
Nikov's going to raid with pikemen. That's the best use for pikemen right here. Raid with them and just be annoying with them. And you're starting to see now that maybe Nicov has the time to make a transition. I think Lithuanians get hand cannons. So maybe he just goes halberdier hand cannon here. Here are pikemen and the Mangonel even. Oh, geez. If that trebuchet goes down, Lix is going to be so frustrated with himself.
Send villagers out to your castle.
Yeah.
Please, Lix. Just even like 3 or 4 would be great.
Seriously, yeah. And he's lacked the eco to really make a tough switch in early imp here, Dave. It's been castles and trebs, and that's it. And Nicov will be happy with taking that fight because he knows he'll have a lot left over. He'll take another treb out, and the Knights and Lycav will take another treb out, and this could be the game. Nicov also raiding on the left with the Latus. 15 population lead. Oh, man. I mean, both players might lose trebs here, but... Oh, okay. Yep. He does get one there. I guess Nikov's got a stone to repair right now. 14,000 or 1,400 stone isn't too bad.
Oh my god.
I like how Nikov's also sitting with pikemen on that gold. Like this game here has really shown you the importance of expanding to the pawns and the gold positions.
Yeah, now with bombard cannon out, with plenty of stone to repair, and with what, the 6 or 7 trebs going down from Lix.
Yep.
Seems like the game has firmly swung in Nikov's advantage, and he's got castles holding down the right side, and he's putting another one to hold on the left side, so he's taking map control behind this.
Thinking ahead too, because Lix has just researched Lycav, so he wants to start raiding, but think for Lix, the time was early imp. What you're starting to see now is he really is the two-handed swordsman show up. He doesn't really have anything to threaten Nicov. He is going for heavy camel, and that's great, but you look at the way this game is swinging. It is swinging against Lix. Many units going down on the front. Lix behind in military. Lix could lose more trebs, and that's been the theme of Imperial Age. It sucks, too, because his 2 castles in the middle, the reason they were placed there was so he could have an easy treb war against that one castle, and it's all falling apart now.
But if you know you're going to go into a treb war, why not have some villagers nearby?
Yeah.
Could have saved all of those.
Honestly, if that wood line wasn't there, he would have been able to place a better castle too. So he just had to force a castle down in an awkward position. That said, these camels and two-handed swordsmen suddenly have nothing to stop them. And now Nikov's going to lose a treb, and Nikov's still repairing this castle. Nicov needs to make sure he makes something, dude. According to the overlay here, doesn't have a lot of resources floating.
Kind of seems like it's Lix's turn to lock down the sides of the map. Yeah. He's so open on the left side. He's so open on the right side. Now that he has kind of a moment to breathe or some initiative with the push, that's the moment. And there's a castle behind from Lix on a hill, protecting the left side a little bit. And I think he's he's expanding out on the right too, Tristan. He's got a castle on that neutral gold.
Ow.
And he's sending villagers into Nikov's space, so we could have ourselves a game here.
Yeah, and even though Nicov has taken out trebuchets, it's not as if Lix doesn't have gold. He's had control of gold. It is expensive. I'm just waiting for either player to really commit to something. I actually think in Nikov's case, he needs to utilize the fact that he's got those relics and go for Latus, which he's committing to. Going for Latus, I think, feels natural here with these castle numbers. But if you're Lix, maybe you take a step back from tossing gold units away, and you just start to raid a little bit. Nikov's done a good job to set up shop with castles, but there's definitely some opportunities there.
Yeah, and he's got barracks going down on the right side of Nikov's space now. Nicov with one pikeman trying to deny it, but that's not going to work for the time being. So it's shifted a bit here again. So Nikov's taking control in the middle. He's pushing up. Lix maybe on the back foot, but now Lix pressuring on the sides. Dude, they're kind of switching off roles here.
All that population on water for Nicov is so deceiving. He's got 5 population on the left side, 2 population in the south. I mean, the fishing ships too, right? Where he's got 5 fires or 6 fires or 7 fires, sorry, on the right. I mean, he has 170 pop. He has 41 military, but in the middle, it's pretty much even with numbers. But I do like that halb upgrade, because the camels could give him some real problems. Though I suppose, in theory, the two-handed swordsman would also wreck the halb, so it really depends on how the fight is taken.
Yeah, Lick's kind of building up numbers on that right-hand side with the two-handed swordsman. I think that's what you need to do. Don't trickle them in for the raids. Build up a significant force where Nicov has to respond, has to send something back.
We're going to see monk upgrades for Lix here. He's adding another monastery. I think he's going to go for fast redemption and try and convert the bombard cannons from Nicov. It's a good approach. We saw it from Nicov earlier, the use of redemption. But that was just against a Maginot and a Scorpion. But that said, that little engagement where he used the monks actually helped him big time to be able to castle that hill. And he's got 3 castles in that spot. My goodness.
Lix is building up a scary army here. Like, if the latest get too far away from the halberdiers, suddenly the two-handed swordsmen destroy them. And if the halberdiers get too far away from the latest, suddenly the camels, like, run right through them.
And he's reacting a little bit, right? He's sending the latest to the right side. He's also missing a lot of blacksmith upgrades. He only has feudal age blacksmith upgrades right now, Dave. Whereas Lix is maxed out with what he can do as Malians. He really... I'm not sure if this is going to come down to raiding or that one big fight in the middle, but according to the overlay, they're both almost to 200 pop, and then everyone's just waiting for the big fight. Oh my god, and even two-handed... Wait, that's champion, sorry. On the way now for Lix.
A lot of that pop is on water for Nicov, too.
Yeah.
Lix definitely with the superior military in the middle here, and he's coming.
And he could also convert some siege, too. Oh, he's coming in with camels first. I think here I would actually go for the two-handed swordsman. Also nice, because if they get converted, what you have left is about
the halberdier with the
camel. Whoa! Yeah, that was an awful fight.
But, I mean, he's going to win, but
yeah.
It could have been a much better trade for him. Two-handed swordsman versus halberdier rather than camels. But he's still going to push back Nicov. He's got Trebs behind. Weak ones.
Oh, man, dude. Is this going to bother you if he doesn't repair those? 'Cause it's going to bother me.
Yep.
Nicov doesn't even have fletching for his castles, though, Dave.
Oh, but Nikov's going to hit Lix hard with these latest.
Oh, he is right on the stone. And Lix reacts immediately. And Nicov was just passing anyway.
Never mind.
So just a prank.
Never mind.
Dave, I don't think you can go in with 2 trebuchets that are on fire.
No, you
against
can't.
3 castles.
I mean, you can. We just saw it happen.
Yeah.
But, like, you shouldn't. That's what we're getting.
There's just so many resources on this map. I mean, castling up is really a smart play. And it makes it almost impossible to raid. I think this is the most competitive cross game we've seen so far in all the qualifiers. And, like, while there have been some other ones, it's just crazy how they both have set up shop on all the golds and stones and are just playing with what would be their post-imp comps, I guess. But for Nicov, use the blacksmith. You still don't have the second armor upgrade for your Latus. Good raiding. But against heavy camel with Farimba, you're going to get wrecked here. And
yep.
expensive.
Against TC fire, too. Like, if you're only +1, suddenly Lix can garrison and kill all your Latus. So it's not even that effective of a raiding unit if you don't have even the +2 armor. As Lick sent another Treb forward and in the middle of nowhere, and it got killed.
Oh, really? Yeah, I'm running. It's hard for me to keep track of the Trebs he's losing in this game. You know what's funny? In the back of Lix's mind is there's actually a light cav in the back of Lix's base. Hopefully he realizes that. But in the back of his mind, he might be thinking that he needs to pressure the water. But honestly, the fact that Nicov has water is helping Lix right now because there's a lot of pop caught up there. And full help for Nicov in the middle. The fast Lithuanian trash. Finally, some good upgrades coming in. The light cav's also getting kills. This does seem like Nikov's game, Dave.
Lick's still with 126 villagers, though.
It's true.
So is Eco, I mean, he's still got the numbers. It's just what military momentum does he have? He's producing some champions and some light cav, but that's going to get cleared up by the hand cannons and the halberdiers from Nicov.
The difference here, Nicov, when he makes the push in the middle with trebuchets, he's got the military to protect it. He's even got villagers around for repairs. He was able to get the relics earlier. He's able to get more raids in, actually. If you think about how that has gone in post-imp. And I think Nicov, despite the fact he doesn't have blacksmith upgrades and some eco upgrades, which is so typical for him. I mean, if he pushes the castle, he'll push the monastery. He'll take the relics, Dave, and he might just take game 3. Lix.
Yeah, and that castle was kind of the gateway to Lix's eco, right? To Lix's entire base. And now the production buildings are going to go down. It's going to stall out any momentum that Lix wants to get going here. And Nicov, just keep the trebs with your hand cannons. Keep them with your halberdiers. Slow push.
That light cav is still raiding. That light cav is still doing damage here. But I can get it. I get it, man. All of his production buildings are forward. Lix is falling apart. He's doing 20 different things right now. He's also trying to raid. That's kind of working out, but Nikov's here. If I was Nicov, first off, I'd feel like a god because he's a great player. But second, I would probably just drop a castle on this hill. Buy some stone, drop a castle, and it's not even needed, Dave. A bit dicey, very close game, almost an hour long, but Nicov wins 2 straight to go up 2-1. What made the difference in this game?
I think the pushback from Nicov, like going into, what, he had 3 barracks producing pikemen in Castle Age. As soon as he saw Lix took control of that hill, tech switched into pikemen, had insane production, and then went out with like 30 of them.
Yeah.
And pushed him off that position, managed to get the castle down. And then the game changer for Lix, in my opinion, is just not supporting his treb push. Like, you build 2 castles there so that you can go for a treb push, and then you don't even keep your army or villagers near that.
Yep.
You just leave them super exposed and hope they're going to get the job done. Nicov is too good of a player. He's never going to let that happen.
Yeah, I have to give... I agree with you. When it got to that treb situation, that was a 50-50 game, and Lix had some initiative that he wasn't able to take there. But that defense on the main gold with redemption was sick. If he didn't get redemption there, I don't think that Nicov ever is able to push up that hill. Lix is able to get the forward castle, and then is an imp faster, and that might even win him the game. The monastery was near there. The eco was near there. So full props to Nicov for not allowing that castle. And then, of course, the game was 50-50. But you know, it also just... The way the units were used from Lix could have been better. And maybe that's, again, because Nicov had castles, Dave. But more food and gold collected. And this is no joke, man. 4,000 more gold, 6,000 more food. I didn't really see Lix utilize his food and gold well. Mm-hmm. But anyways, we can't say the game wasn't close. We can't say the series hasn't been competitive. And I have full faith in Lix to be able to respond. Now, I'm still waiting to see... if we ever see islands. But that is one of Nikov's home maps. So this will be Gold Rush or Slopes. And for this, I think we could probably speculate a little on what might come from here. I think Slopes, you know what, dude? It's kind of up in the air for me. Because I think we've seen a lot of fast castling for map control and Gold Rush. Celts could be good there. Khmer could be good there. And on Slopes, we've also seen a civ like Celts utilized. Khmer have an argument. Maybe Mongols have an argument. So
Danny Boy had a pretty good push yesterday with Celts. That was insane, dude. I tuned in halfway through that game. I'm like, Daniel? This is Daniel?
Yeah, Daniel was... It's just... I told him yesterday after his set. I don't want to... Actually, no, we can talk about what happened. Unfortunately, Daniel went down yesterday. But, like, the fact that he was that close yesterday and that he brought it in every single game was insane. I told him he was 10 times the player he was in Hidden Cup 3 qualifiers. So He was positive after his performance, but Dave, imagine Celts against something like Indians, right? Nikov's got Indians, so if Slopes comes up, Indians has been strong there, but what do Indians do against crazy Man-at-Arms, Scorpion, Pikemen? It's really tough for them.
What do Indians do against pikemen?
Yeah.
Like Pikeman Siege. That's it. You don't even need to add all the other complications. It's Pikeman Siege. What do you do against that as Indian?
It's tough, man.
It's tough.
All right, guys. Well, we'll find out.
Yeah, I think this game, we've seen a very meta Licks so far in this series. Like from the first game, like all of them. We've seen basically sitting back, getting into his ideal army composition, playing like normal. I think this game, Licks has to let the dogs out. Like, just let them out. Go standard, forward, crazy Licksness, and try and grab the momentum that way.
I also think if Nicov wins this next game, there's no way he loses the series because he's such a good player. While we have seen people blow 3-1 leads, sorry, Warriors fans and some Age of Empires player fans, but I just don't see Nicov ever letting it slip if he goes up 3-1. So if Licks wants to get into Hidden Cup 4, he needs to win this next game. With that said, if I were him, I'm trying to think which map would be best, right? Because you could base it off civs a bit. I honestly feel as though Nikov's got some solid civs for either. If it's Gold Rush, I think Nicov goes to Tars and tries to mix in some Cav Archers, and that's difficult to deal with. So, yeah, maybe you go Slopes and pick Celts or Mongols and just go crazy. Aaron Squiz in Twitch chat says, I'm new. Please explain the game for all the noobs like me. Well, type a 1 in Twitch chat if you're noob.
Here we go.
Not new. I said noob. It's different. That said, we're going to do our best here throughout the game to explain the civ bonuses. There's 37 civs. It's very complicated. What I can tell you, though, is that this is a qualifier for the main event, which happens on the 18th through the 21st of March. And all the players who qualify, all the main event players actually play with these accounts right here. And so we don't actually know in the main event who we're watching. It adds to the fun. And then also it's random seeding. So you can have some crazy matchups early. It's not as predictable where you can go into the first round and just assume so-and-so is going to beat so-and-so and move on towards the next set. But yeah, apparently the game started, Dave. We're going to have to talk about the hero names too, Dave. Do you have a favorite from that list?
Obviously, Cobra Car. I'm going to make a tier list, and Cobra Car is going to be sitting alone at S tier.
Okay. Cobra Car. I mean, that's the one that catches people's eye. I figure, if a Hidden Cup 5 rolls around, we'll include another cheat code. Could be kind of fun, like Furious the Monkey Boy or something. But yeah, it'll be fun to talk about that when we get closer to the main event. For now, this is the final day of the deciders. And apparently we're a little bit behind here, Dave, so I'm speeding up to live time. Nicov has chosen the Tatars, which I expected. And then you've got Licks. And I think Licks needs to win here. He has gone for the Celts. What are you expecting from Celts on Gold Rush?
Well, we could see something like a Drush maybe luring those wolves over to the enemy base and then follow that up with some walls into some forward siege action.
Yeah, it'd work well. A lot of wolves in the middle make things a little complicated here, but what we have done with this map gen is we've made it so players can run through the middle without hitting the wolves. Wolves are always going to be on the side, and if you play this map once or twice, you'll pick up on that and at least know to scout. I do see that Nikov's scouting rather early here. Now, Nikov's in a spot where he probably wants to go fast castle. At least we've seen a lot of that. And he also found all of his sheep nice and early. So it makes sense to scout the opposition early. If you want to, you could try and steal a rhino or a boar. Now, typically, those rhinos and boars are going to be near the backside of the TC. And we've done that on all the maps, but there's a problem on Gold Rush. You're so close to the edge of the map that occasionally a rhino is like diagonalish from the TC. So that one rhino that was by the stone is something Nicov could maybe find. But look at this, Dave. He's just missed him. Just passing the whole way.
Yeah, he doesn't even know that Licks is over there. He doesn't see a gold. He doesn't see any resources whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, you say it's unfortunate, but it's also a risk to try and lame. You're just hoping that RNG will be with you and that you'll get a little lucky. At least in this case, I think it would be slightly unlucky for Licks to have that rhino that behind the wood line too. And so happy to see that nothing crazy's happened so far. Just a couple questions from Twitch chat here. Yes, these games are live. The next set after this is going to be Slam versus Finchester. Winner moves on to Hidden Cup 4. And also, as far as the hero names, someone asked if you could vote for them. I actually did post the polls on YouTube. I posted them on Twitter, Discord. We did have a period where people voted for the final 2 hero names, so sadly you missed that. But Master of the Templar and Gonzalo Pizarro were voted in as heroes. And I'm excited, man. Gonzalo Pizarro just... Apparently I am mispronouncing that. But...
Yeah, maybe... I don't know. Pizarro, maybe not the cleanest historical record out of all the heroes on the list.
Yeah, I know, exactly. Exactly. So, we're going to have some videos on that too, you know, and so I'm looking forward to it, but it should be good fun. And for now, I have not seen a barracks for Licks, but I see the villager, and yeah, there's a perfect spot for it. Barracks going up now.
And it looks like we have a pause here from Nicov.
Yeah, bit of a pause. Who knows the reasoning, but they are able to pause if they want to. Usually it's just a couple seconds, and yeah, maybe he had an issue. And we're back. So that was a very short pause. Probably just had to fix something. My capture age will always stutter just a little bit as we're catching back up to live time, but what are you thinking from Nicov here? He scouted the barracks, so I love the scouting, and it looks like Davey's actually going to do his own.
Yeah, he's going to go for the defensive drush here. You could probably justify Nikov's position, like only making a couple militia. You don't even need the full 3, do you?
Okay, next lever strategy would be to make 1 militia, lure up the wolves, and just put the wolves right in front of Lix's barracks. Lix could never leave his barracks then. It'd be perfect.
Yeah, but the bad thing about that, Tristan, is if he ungarrisons 1 militia and then brings the wolves back to your economy.
Well, I think it was Hidden Cup 2. Hidden Cup 2 is very similar Gold Rush version, and one of the players did go for a Spearman Rush. That was back when players would go fast feudal a lot into farm upgrades. Not that they don't do that now, but it ended up being MVL, and yeah, he lured like 8 or so wolves to the enemy base. And if you really feel like you can't be aggressive or you just don't want to invest a lot into your attack, it's not bad. But yeah, I didn't call this correctly, Dave. Both players are going to Feudal Age, and it looks like both players are going for Man-at-Arms.
Yeah, Nicov just now producing the 3rd militia. His build looks pretty clean, and Lix is going to have a fully walled base at home by the time Nicov hits the Feudal Age.
This is a really good base. I mean, it would look good for Nicov, too, if he walled. Maybe he has to add like 10 more tiles of wall, but he would wall on everything too. What do you think about going Man-at-Arms against Celts? Because my issue is that the Celt Man-at-Arms are faster, and it feels like the Celt player should never make a mistake to take a poor fight.
I don't know. I think that the Celts aren't really going to follow up their Men-at-Arms with any archers or anything like that, so it's just going to be that rush and then walls behind. So if you can deny that with some militia of your own, and I don't even think... Like, is Nicov going to get the Men-at-Arm upgrade? He's made 4 militia.
He has to, right? He's going to have... He doesn't have walls, so he kind of has to defend from this.
Like,
but...
you could just defend... Okay, there's the Men-at-Arm upgrade right there. I feel like you could just defend with 4 militia against 3 Men-at-Arms, but...
Yeah. But my point is, you're walled at home if you're Licks. Literally just outrun them. There's no need to do anything.
To where, though?
Yeah,
if
that's
Nicov keeps them at home. If Nicov keeps his army at home, like, you can only run around so many places for Licks.
True.
And you're not really doing any damage, right? But Nicov is opting to go forward now, and Lix is going to be stalled out against that wall on the right.
All right. So it's interesting. If the walls are there, you usually want to go forward. And he's going to add a range as a follow-up, so he'll probably just repair this and go for 1 archer. Interesting to me, Lix, before even seeing it was fully walled, didn't even click the upgrade, Dave. So he figures he wasn't going to do damage.
And he's going for the archers. I'm surprised by that for the follow-up.
It's not too unnatural, but I think the big thing you're bringing up here is that long-term it's kind of rough compared to Tatars. Yeah. Tatars get Thumb Ring for free, so it's good to have out, but we're mainly talking about other things with Celts in the mid-game.
Well, Nikov's going to spot it. He's going to spot the walls, and he's going to know that can't really do too much damage unless... Licks like deletes a wall or chops through a tree or something like that.
Yep. I think both eco upgrades as Nicov. You see that lumberjack on Nikov's wood line? That's not Nikov's fault. This is a bug that happens consistently with DE, and Nikov's one of the most outspoken about it. I don't know if it's something with his PC or whatever, but basically the villager just stopped chopping a tree and decided to stop working. I remember he walled in 4 villagers in game 1 of a tournament once, Dave, and then like they chopped through a tree at the same time and all 4 went idle. So hopefully he deals with that, but both civilizations have interesting eco bonuses and they're both working right now. Nikov's still having some sheep remaining because of Tatars, and the wood bonus for Celts definitely paying off. Look at all the farms at home for Licks.
My own villagers are like my greatest enemy. They're a worse enemy than my opponent. And I'm like 0 and 150 against them. Villagers always win against me. Sometimes you just got to delete them, you know? If they're acting up over and over again, you just get rid of them.
Send a message. Yeah, send a message to the other villagers that this is not okay. This is not okay, especially when look, did you see it? We just saw it. This game has been out for 14 months, Microsoft. Almost a $70,000 tournament, and this is still an issue. Like, that's a big deal. Nicov.
Fight on the front, by the way?
Oh, there's a fight. Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. Fight. Sorry. Thank you for getting me back to where I actually need to look at. But anyways, point is, that's going to be a bit of a tilter too, but Nicov with a good pick off here. And Nicov probably okay-ish with how this has gone so far.
Yeah, I mean, he took some decent trades against Licks. He's putting pressure on him, and he hasn't been hit at home, really. So it's, I don't know. Game's kind of stabilized. Both players in a fairly similar position at the moment. And Licks is going for a second archery range.
Dave, I went back and watched a bunch of Hidden Cup 1 sets, which was confusing because we had them named Hidden Cup 1, Hidden Cup 2, Hidden Cup 3, and I couldn't remember anything. But this was kind of how Celts were played back then. I think Huang and his crazy ranked game siege pushes changed how people saw Celts, but a couple years ago, you just used Celt Eco and it was just crossbow skirmisher. It's not that crazy, right?
Yep. They were always... I always kind of viewed them as a difficult civ to play back then, though. Because you would stall out in the Castle Age, right?
Yeah.
And especially in the transition to Imperial Age, it's super rough for Celts. That's why you usually in today's meta want to get a forward position with them rolling.
That's true.
So that you can have pressure on your opponent and have the time to transition if you're going into Imperial Age.
Let's see what Nicov can do with his micro here, because he is Tatars with the hill, but he also has skirms and archers against him and armored. So, yeah, maybe he stuck around there too long, Dave, but to your point, what Licks wants is some map control, and it would not at all surprise me if he's got that hill in front of Nikov's base, or even just the hill in the middle to see a siege workshop in the mid game.
Okay, both players with similar resources right now. They should go up around the same time. Farming eco for both looking pretty solid as well. We got ourselves a mirror match here.
Look at the zebra for Nicov.
Okay, that one's not a bug.
No,
folks.
it's not. It's not a bug.
Just not enough room.
It's not a bug. There's just not enough room in there, and he really wants to eat, man. An interesting fight. Again, these skirmishers have armor. They all have really solid HP as well, so I feel like for Nicov, this is a very risky fight to be taking. But I could be wrong. Maybe he can prove me wrong with his micro. In the end, it wasn't near as bad as I thought, actually. And
it's a risky fight if your opponent micros correctly. I think Licks was a bit sloppy there, but he's sending the archers around to try and get in that wall. Nikov's sending a repair villager just in time, though. He's going to have to house wall or something behind us, though.
That's a little frustrating, isn't it? Because at this point, you've had to double layer palisade, and you've lost the front. I mean, Licks is probably just going to run away with this now, and Licks should really do that now so he can save his units. But, I don't know, it's just definitely something that, especially with Licks, you don't want to be happening, where he's the one forcing fights against you and causing you to react. And actually, Dave, he's got that scout in there and the militia. They're fast against skirms. Licks is being a real pest with this.
Yeah, this is tough for Nicov to deal with. Licks, don't throw these archers away, though.
Let's see
okay,
here.
Nikov's going to attempt to micro them down.
Well, honestly,
getting the skirmishers isn't worth losing archers here, but Licks still decent micro there. Only lost one.
The value from the militia is pretty sick, right? It attacked all the walls, and then they used against the skirms. And they're speedy, too. So, Nicov hasn't clicked up just yet. Licks faster. And I'm waiting for the Vil now, Dave. I'm wondering if that will be the approach anyways. I actually see a stable at home for Licks, so maybe he just wants to go with a few knights and a few crossbowmen.
On this map, Jen, is it a thing where the wolves are only on the sides and you can run right through the middle?
Yep.
Okay, that's cool. I like that.
The only concern is here they're pretty evenly apart from each other. Sometimes you'll have someone more towards the corner, so they will have to evade the wolves a bit more. But knowing that, players can easily scout it and then, avoid it. And then you don't have all the annoying wolves hitting you in these situations, and you can send Vils out across the map. And Lix is just no hesitation, just going to leave the hill and go to the side. Nicov could really be threatened by this.
Yeah, and Lix went for a stable first, so he's going to have some knights, and he's sending a villager through the middle now. So he's going to draw Nikov's army out here with his own range units. Nikov's going to chase a little bit. The first knight will come along, Nikov's going to be surprised, and then suddenly there's a siege workshop on the hill in front of your base.
Yeah, you never want Lix to have a sneaky army in the corner. I mean, you don't want anyone to have a sneaky army in the corner. I guess it's not that sneaky if you know it's there, but sneaky enough anyways. Is Lix has got to be a little careful with this sneak build because the army's not really there to protect her. I like how Nicov added one scout there. That can be helpful against monks later, but just against any skirms, it really prevents Lix from taking that position right now.
And he pulled that scout back, too. He pulled it back within range of the villager. He probably should have just delete the skirm. Don't let the scout see the vill.
Yeah, Dave, speaking of skirmishers, Nicov. But he's getting some value out of this, I guess. But he's going to lose the skirmishers anyways. And honestly, Lix should just attack the palisades. There's so much over here. Look at Nikov's wood line. It's pretty bad on both sides. But on this side especially, he's still chopping trees. And good early house walls to buy himself some time. Time is what he needs. And the villager's just going to make a monastery in the middle? What?
Kia.
I mean, monastery, pretty good play at the moment. He has to assume that Nikov's going to be going into scouts, or not scouts, knights. And that will help him defend his siege. But if the knights get there before there's anything to defend the villager, maybe the monastery can be denied.
Yeah, I think this might shift into a boomy game now for Lix, because he's going to get ahead in eco, even just delaying the farms. Plus, that Celt Wood bonus is no joke. So, I'd say my concern is he going to lose some map control here in a second? Because he's about to lose some of his knights. Nicov, though, we're not seeing cav archers or anything just yet, David. Just a few knights with Tatars, which is not really the unit I think of when I'm thinking about Tatars on Gold Rush.
Yeah, but if you want to stall out this momentum, knights are perfect for this, right? Especially if those crossbows are way out of position. You knew they were because they were in the back of your base.
Oh, boy.
So they're not going to be able to defend the villager or the monks coming out.
True. Yeah, he's got chain barding. Wow, I didn't realize he got that upgrade already. And there's elite skirm in for Lix. I think Lix was expecting to see cav archers, and Lix was expecting to see very few knights. So he'll be surprised by that. But he will go for conversion now, and he hasn't lost his numbers yet. And now the monastery actually makes a lot of sense. If he would have gone for a siege workshop against knights, it would have been brutal.
There's the cav archers.
Oh, okay. Well, one was converted. And the knights are just passing over here for Nicov, but can kill that villager. Rip to her. And a close game.
It's probably a good thing Nicov kind of shifted out of knights, because his farming eco is not looking robust.
Hey, he has wheelbarrow, though. He didn't get that until the 50th minute in some of these games, so this is looking good for Nicov. This is why forward buildings, it makes sense if you have the military to control it. And maybe this boom was a little too early for Lix. His eco is also not looking too, what did you say, robust? The farms, anyways, kind of meh. But 3 TCs for him, and he does have some monks in the middle, but Nicov will take the hill.
And it all stems back to the fact that the crossbows were out of position when the knights first came in. Yeah. Lix obviously not expecting knights with +2 right away.
Really will need his own siege here, because Celts do not get good monk upgrades. Now, the knights there are going to be a surprise for Nicov, because these 2 knights could pick off that siege. But I think having your own Mangonels, or even just a bunch of Scorpions with Celts, it always feels strong. And honestly, you don't really need good micro to control them, because they fire so fast. Lix has got to allow his siege workshop to go up, though. This is a big moment, Dave. +2 knights, Mangonel, and some monks. If conversions don't come in, if the Mangonel's not taken care of, Lix could be in a really bad spot.
He's going to try and go out and get that Mangonel with the 2 knights, and he's going to defend with the crossbows. This looks pretty good for Lix.
Yeah, man. He's a nerd, too. Nice little split there. Did lose the knights, but I think it's worth it. And now Nikov's worried, and Nicov has to leave the hill. And honestly, he should be. He does not want to donate 2 knights. Crossbows are still going to pack a bit of a punch here. And it looks like Lix is adding a barracks, Dave. So maybe seeing that amount of knights, we start to see Mangonel, Scorpion, Pikeman.
You have to.
Yeah.
You have to go into Pikeman here. I think the worry for Lix is his eco. He has to make sure that it's not too exposed and that there's something back there. And yeah, Nikov's looping around with these knights here. He's going to try and hit that right side. Luckily for Lix, he's got 2 TCs. But having a couple extra pikemen or monks over there is a real... would be really, really nice for him.
Right, there's still one wolf chasing there. I know people are interested in that. In some cases, you could justify diving in here with the knights. Lix realizing that is going for some crazy house walls. He loses villagers, Dave, but can he keep the units out here? And Nikov's not even... He's going to be happy with that, actually. Kill some villagers and run away. Wolf's still chasing. But I think it's a wise move for Nicov to run back. That's good damage. It's actually 66 vills for both. Both have had some insane idle TC and idle eco time, especially Lix. Like 5 minutes of idle TC time. That's that equates to 10 villagers that he could have. But I don't think he's just had the food eco yet for what he's trying to do.
Yeah, now it's time for Nicov to get a little bit nervous here because we got quite a big ball of military coming forward from Lix. Once he gets 3 or 4 mangonels and like 4 or 5 monks, could be dangerous. Nicov maybe needs to take the fight early and diminish the monk numbers, the mangonel numbers, before it gets too big.
Oh man, that micro from Lix though is nervy stuff, dude. And up the hill, he takes that fight. That was amazing. Like that could have so easily gone wrong. The Mangonel for Nicov, had it hit the crossbowman or the Mangonel or the monks from Lix, would have probably swung that fight because now the cav archers are in a high enough number, but Lix will take the hill. I'm still not liking how fragile this looks against enemy Mangonels though. I'd like to see Scorpions. I'd like to see Pikemen. Lix has got to even think about dropping a castle, Dave. He does have a lot of stone.
He's got so much on stone right now. I think that was the plan. Ever since he dropped that second TC on the stone, the plan was to secure the middle somehow. If he can, I mean, Gold Rush, we've seen it so many times, right? The player with the inferior eco just holding that middle area. And once again, Nicov looking for openings, but Lix is going to be able to wall. Is there a hole between the woodline and the house? Yes.
I think there is, but there's also not many vills here. You know what I mean? Like, all the vills are on the other side. You lose 3 villagers, but Nikov's going to run in thinking that's the woodline. Well, now he's just... Yeah, I'm curious now what happens, because I guess in theory, this gives Lix time to castle the middle. Yeah, Lix is going to castle the middle, and Nicov just leaves. So, that was a weird moment.
Castle's really far back, too. That's a uncharacteristic castle there for Lix.
True. Especially when the military's out of position. You could argue... I mean, he would have needed knights or something to take out the Mangonels, but you could argue that could have been in the middle at least, or even in front of Nikov's base, but you never want to build it in the little divot. You know, that gap can be tough, and here comes a good move from Lix. Sending in the knight, even if he takes that one Mangonel, it's worth it. Honestly, we'll be pretty close, but with the hill, got him. Weird fight, Dave. Crossbowman still getting some value. Pikeman now coming in. Nicov, an awkward position. He does have the hill with Tatars, though, and cav archers should be strong against the pikemen. And this might be okay for Nicov.
He engaged against the crossbows with his knights. He didn't engage against the mangonels. And the mangonels have been doing work against the cav archers. A lot of those are very weak, very micro-intensive engagement here.
Yeah, Nicov bringing in a knight. We've seen multiple splits from him, and this should be dead mangonels. Wasn't the prettiest, and I think Lix will be okay with the value. In fact, the Mangonel is still there.
That would have turned out so much differently if he had killed both those Mangonels early with the knights.
True.
Like, just go in for the Mangonels with them, take them out, and suddenly your cav archers are full HP.
That's one of those
When he engaged against the crossbows, they were like all under 50%.
This is a really weird sports reference, but like, you know how in football or soccer where like a goalie makes an acrobatic save and it just should have been something simple. It's like that was one of those. It looked really good with all the splits, but I'm not sure about that one, especially when I was feeling like he needed to do more value, or get more value, but the cav archers could do it right here, Dave. Lix wants that stone, but Lix, you've got to pay attention to this. You're on your way to imp. You don't want to take unnecessary damage, and Nicov will take this every day of the week, Dave. Nice Vil picks.
Yep, and distracting the crossbows from Lix. That's just keeping pressure off his base. It's given him time to drop 4 more stables.
Ooh. This is going to be all in Castle Age. He's mixed in scouts to take out the siege. But I think if he sees Woad Raiders from Lix, he's going to get worried that Lix might be on the way up to the next stage, you know?
Which he is.
Yeah.
He is. And he has enough stone for another castle, too. Nicov castling the middle area, like right on the top. Lix, I assume he's going to make another castle either to the north or to the west of that one he has currently. Woad Raiders cost a lot to upgrade, but are pretty cheap and pretty fast to get out once you get all the upgrades in.
This is the beauty of Gold Rush, people. As Nikov's going to kill some of his own scouts. I guess he wasn't going to get the Nicov upgrade, so just screw them, I guess. But, anyways, I feel as though this is rather common in Gold Rush. One person has the weaker eco in terms of Vil count, and they want to go to Imp faster. The other person has taken a bit more map control with the stronger eco, and they go to Imp a bit later. Now, Woad Raider Halberdier feels very strong. So if I'm Nicov, continue doing what you're doing and just delay Lix on the sides. Let him have the gold, but hit the wood lines in the farm eco like you're doing right now. Is he going to get light cav? I mean, kind of looked like that was his plan.
He's getting it now. Yeah, he's getting it now.
Okay. Yeah, but I mean, it's still, even with scouts working just fine. And I think Lix just needs to abandon that area. That said, then he can't take stone. He actually is unfortunate to not see the neutral stone in the corner, though.
I mean, he's moving that way. He'll find it eventually.
Mm-hmm. Nicov. What do you go with as Tatars here? Do you continue with Cav Archers? Cav Archers and maybe Light Cav? I feel like eventually, if Lix can get the eco for it, Elite Woad Raider and Halberdier, even without the siege, probably does well against all of that.
I think, yeah, Cav Archer, Light Cav, if you get like 30 to 40 Cav Archers upgraded, it can be really, really strong, especially if you have that middle position. And then you just use the Light Cav to run around sniping eco and siege from the Celts. Use the mobility. That's the trick to that comp.
Lix trying to just bring random pikemen and skirms back here. Doesn't want to pull anything from the middle. He really is not reacting very quickly here, Dave. And I think Nicov will be happy with this. And if you look at this, 17 villagers have been sniped by Nicov, 0 by Lix. And that brings that in the idle time has brought Nicov to a great position. Look at Lix's economy. He's in big trouble if he doesn't deal with this. This is so annoying.
Yeah, forced to send the Woad Raiders back. He's still not upgrading them. He doesn't have anything in the queue, Tristan. I think he's waiting for the resources for his upgrades.
Maybe just get elite first. Is that his game plan here? Feels like 44 on food is great, but it's just the value Nicov has gotten from these fights. And it's just the consistent micro, too. Give him full credit.
Woad Raiders, the elite upgrade is one of the biggest upgrades in the game. Like when you're talking about value of the unit,
yep,
elite gives them so much, and it'll be really, really nice in this situation. It'd also be nice if he could get some of those over to the left side of Nikov's base. Like if he goes for raids with 5 or 6 Woads over there, he could kill so much, dude.
I think right after Nikov's gets pushed out of the right side, as he's getting pushed in the mid, he's got to raid again. And he's doing it, Dave. This is sick from Nicov, seriously. He knows a big push is coming. He's just lost a castle in the middle. But he also knows that he will die to Celts if he doesn't continue to pressure. And if you're wondering why Lix won't defend from this, it's because he's got weaker eco. He's trying to push the middle than the gold to win this game. And this is just perfect play from Nicov. Look back at these moments as the moments that will change the game. And then maybe one outpost could have changed it for Lix. If he were to find that stone, he would never be exposing himself on that left side. He needs the stone, Dave.
Still worrisome, though, for Nicov.
Yep.
If he loses his Cav Archer mass, if those Woads ever get into his eco at any point, or if he loses this position on the middle and can't take gold, it'd be really rough for him. There are 3 treads there from Lix pushing back that castle.
I think you have to buy a castle here if you're Lix. Oh, wait, okay. He's going to sell some, buying some res and just drop it in the middle. You can't mine the stone. It is really important, but you need a castle to back this up. You remember that Cross game? He lost the game because he couldn't secure his trap. Here he's got the hill. He needs to secure it. Looks like he'll do it, Dave. And I'm not sure if Nikov's raids is gonna... Did it pause for you?
Yeah, Nicov paused the game.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure if the raids are necessarily going to be enough. So yeah, guys, we'll be in this second. Okay, Nikov's unpaused, but castle down, Dave. And good luck getting gold now, Nicov. These Woad Raiders are, funnily enough, very good at raiding and killing villagers. We're catching up to speed here. What on earth do you do from Nikov's position?
Just mass the Cav Archers and hope that Lix keeps throwing away units. Basically, I mean, you just stall out whatever momentum he can get here until you have 30 or 40 Cav Archers, then start adding in siege and adding in some raiding units like light Cav.
It's funny, if you look at that KD, you think, and you look at the score, you even look at the population, you think, okay, this is Nikov's game. But Nikov's really has his work cut out for him here to be able to win this game as he's being pushed off gold. And again, it's got to be raids. And we've seen it before. We actually saw it yesterday and the day before, but the presence of mind to have to defend and also raid at the same time is just insanely tough.
I think Nikov's done enough, and I think Lix threw away a bit too many Woad Raiders there. I mean, he got the heavy Cav Archer research in, almost fully upgraded right now, and look at the numbers, Tristan. He's got 30 of them.
Yeah, look at this. He's found stone. If you look at Nikov's scouting, Dave, I didn't even check it yet, but he sees so much. Does have good food eco. He's actually pushing up the hill against the castle. The castle isn't enough. And these Tatar Cav Archers, we've seen them win so many games so far in this tournament. They really are strong, and they're quick. They can keep up with the Woad Raiders. I'm beginning to worry for Lix. If he can't get Halberdier mixed in, if he can't get a big mass of Woad Raiders, this could be problematic, and he might be pushed back.
Beginning to worry?
Well, I mean...
I'm already worried.
My biggest worry for him is how much damage these raids are doing. And it's only 5 or 6 units at a time. That's what's crazy.
My biggest worry for Lix is the fact that he's sending in 5 or 6 Woad Raiders at a time.
Yeah.
And they're not doing any damage whatsoever.
I think he's probably doing this thinking that Nicov will eventually run out of gold, but Nikov's got plenty of vills there. You kill 2, there's still 20, and then you don't have the Woads. So that and the lack of stone, which he finally got a TC up on the stone on the left. It's going to hurt, but I guess the skirms will take out the CA. How does Nicov start to think about pushing back the middle, Dave? He actually does not have a castle.
He needs one, because I think Trebs are the answer to this. Once you have Trebs behind your Cav Archers, there's, you know, unless Lix wants to go into a really expensive tech switch into Siege, there's not too much he can do against it. It's just all about getting the Trebs on the field. Only 4 on stone at the moment, though, so it's going to take him a while.
Big raid on the right side. Lightcav coming in. He's been pressuring the left. He's now going to pressure the right. And it's hard to mass your units and have the eco to push the middle if you're getting raided constantly. And one final step I'd like to see from Nicov here, as he's getting siege rams, so probably thinking about a push in the mid, is buildings on the left side. Making 4 stables in that southern corner would mean that he could just consistently spam Lightcav into Lix's eco. And as you can see, Dave, even with the Cav Archers, there's just no way Lix can protect his economy. And if that's the case, I think he might lose the middle. And here come the Lightcav from Nicov, the Rams from Nicov before Siege Ram. This game might be done and dusted now.
Yep. And Lix just can't fight this army of Cav Archers. So wherever this army is that he can't fight, he has to hope that he's pushing on a different flank. Or in a different front, that he's doing damage somewhere else. But instead, I mean, he's chasing this army, and he's getting pushed back in the middle.
This is amazing play from Nicov, though. Like, Lix, he's got a Civ, which I think in many ways can counter almost any Civ in the game. That infantry is devastating with Rams, but he's just been on Woads. He has not had Halbs, and he has not had the time. Had to sprinkle in some skirmishers, which is less than ideal with Celts, like we talked about. 62 villagers have died for Lix. There's no way that Lix is going to keep the middle castle up. Now, he can still take gold in the middle, but now Nicov can just take the middle with a castle or, you know, push the rest of them. And I actually said there's no way. This castle...
There is a way.
It actually sucks for Lix because he doesn't have stone because of the raids. So he's running out of stone to repair this.
I think there's a way, Tristan.
What? That would be so frustrating for Nicov, especially because the Rams on the right can't ram because the villagers are in the way. Oh my goodness.
But the Cav Archers, they're doing so much. Like, they got a group on the left, he's got a group under the TC, and Lix is going to decide that his position is no longer tenable, and he's going to resign. Well played, Nicov.
Seriously, well played, Nicov. I think it's a classic situation of going up to Imperial before your economy's set, before your main base is secure. But at the same time, Dave, it's so easy for us to say that Lick should have maybe done more in Castle before going Imp, when Nicov is playing it as you should. You know, this game is a series of thousands of little decisions, and so many of them can decide a series, and Nicov definitely doing the right things here. What do you think, though? Those things aside, you mentioned Licks being an Imp with 3 castles, but not having World Raider mass might have been a big issue.
I think the transition from him was fine. Like, I don't think you can justify massing World Raiders and Castle Age. It's just useless until you get the elite upgrade, right? It's the raids that hurt him. Like, he wasn't doing anything about it. The ones on the left that kept hitting there over and over and over again, he wasn't rewalling. He wasn't sending any military there. He was just ignoring it. And then he decided that he needed to go out there for the stone, and wow, big surprise, there's more military over there.
You know what I would have liked to see here? You know, Nikov's approach of investing into another unit, getting a few more upgrades, and having like 30-40 military when he went to Imp. I think that's just a much smoother transition. Now, it's more awkward with Celts, but I'm thinking, make sure that you have the game secured with military before you start to go Imp like that. Because on this version of Gold Rush, you can't just castle the middle and deny the gold. If this was other versions of Gold Rush, that wins you the game. But on this map, you actually need to fight too. And yeah, I just felt like, and I bet you if we go to the timeline here, it will reflect that. He just didn't go up to Imperial Age with much. And this is also a Celt problem. It's not like you're going to make Castle Age World Raiders. But yeah, look at this timeline here. Licks had so little when he went up to the Imperial Age, and Nicov had expanded his eco and was hitting the right spots. And then eventually Licks trying to catch up in economy, lost the Woads. Nicov ended that game with more of every single resource that's against Celts, or food, wood, stone, and gold. But you know, it's decision time for Licks now. He cannot falter anymore, Dave. If he loses, he is not going into Hidden Cup yet again, and Nicov is 1 win away from moving on to the main event.
And we're gonna see slopes, and we can't see the Celts that we talked about on slopes because we just saw them. So, what civ do you think Licks goes with here? Is it gonna be? I mean, Mongols he probably picked for Bay, so that probably wasn't the strategy. Khmer, maybe.
Okay, so let's think about this. It's Licks, right? So you can't always assume that he's saving Vikings for islands.
True.
But let's just say Vikings is for islands. Persians or Mongols, like, I think Persians are probably better on Bay than they would be on slopes. I'm a little confused about Khmer. I feel like in theory you could use Khmer on slopes and build a house on the sides and just hop into the house if someone attacks you. But yeah, I don't know. I think Mongols or Khmer for the next game for Licks. And then he probably saves Persians and saves Vikings for the potential Game 6 and Game 7.
We're about to find out. Oh, man. Interesting civ matchup we have here, Tristan.
Okay, I like...
I'm gonna wait for you to get into it.
Well, you know what? This actually makes me think back to a show match we saw. It was MBL and Leary about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And Leary picked Indians, which is very common, which is what Nicov has gone for, viewers. And MBL went for Vikings. And Vikings won that. In fact, Vikings wreck Indians at a certain point. Plus, they have very strong eco. So it will be Vikings versus Indians. And then if Islands ever comes, we all know Licks is going to land anyways. So watch him, if we get to a Game 7, pick Khmer.
Watch him go Khmer.
Yeah. Yep. It's such a Licks thing. But yeah, thank you, everyone, for the support here. And there's nothing to see yet. We have a countdown. Licks has to win, or he will not make it into Hidden Cup 4. Appreciate you, Nalgor, with the Twitch Prime. Not Al Gore, but Nalgor. Lurtze, thank you for the 16 months with Twitch Prime. Hervara, appreciate it. Matthias, welcome back with 7. He says, good job. Thank you. It's been fun. Teapot Master, appreciate you. I know I'm missing many others, but heart's starting to break perhaps for Licks, Dave, but we have seen people come back from 3-1 deficits already in the deciders.
Yeah, we'll see what he can make happen here with the Vikings. Not a standard civ pick on slopes. Indians I think we see it almost every single game, right?
No, actually.
Really?
There have
Because
been
everyone I've watched has been Indians.
there
Maybe
were
I've missed all the non-Indian ones.
yeah, well with the Civ draft, you always have to use process of elimination. But on day 1, which was Jordan versus the Max and then Velez versus Lan, the Britons pick beat the Indians. And Indian win rate has not been quite as good as you would expect. We've made some changes. There's only 2 shorefish on either side as opposed to 6 before. You can't easily wall it in. And players who don't take a lot of risk and just wall up at home have found some benefit. So I think this is another power spiky one. Nicov, he's going to have the faster food source on the sides. And I know Nicov has a build order for this. So he's probably going to go fast feudal. And I think Lix is going to have to just play safe. He's probably the slower player anyways. And we all know how Vikings can dominate with free wheelbarrow and free handcart in a game.
It's funny, I said that, and I was like, I think every single one I've watched has been Indians, and then I remember just a game ago talking about the Celts versus Aztecs game on this map that Daniel played.
Well,
selective memory, Tristan.
Yeah.
Selective memory.
Well, Celts is a tricky one, right? Like, I could see Celts with the fast man at arms being really tough for Indians to deal with here. And I think having a Civ, which was picked previously in the previous Hidden Cup, is actually quite nice here because we've made tweaks and people are going against the grain. Mongols, for example, have lost more often than not, I think, on Bay, Dave. So I don't really know. It all comes down to strategy, really. And on this map, it's fun because you can win without taking the sides. It's just that there's a lot of reward if you do so.
A little bit less reward than historically, though.
Yeah.
I think there used to be 4 fish, 5 fish.
It was 5 plus the way that we had it situated is you could just wall in your villas. You see where the shorefish are now? You can't make 2 palisades to wall in your villas anymore. You'd have to make a full box around that, which sucks. But I know, so Nicov probably prepares more than any other pro. Maybe Jordan prepared more than him this year. I don't know. But Nicov always prepares and practices. And he also always gives feedback more than any other pro. And so 3 weeks ago, he messaged me. And he said, I still think Indians are OP on slopes, by the way. And I was like, really? Because in some of the testing games we were seeing, I was seeing it countered. I said, okay. And then he did not pick Indians at all. No one picked Indians in his round 2 best of 5 against Fire. So I don't know if that meant Fire would have expected it or what, but he didn't use it against Fire. But here he's gone for it, Dave, and he's actually milling the berries. So he's not going for an early mill. The meta has really changed on this map. Or early mill on the sides anyways, sorry.
Both players going out to the sides immediately with their scout to just keep an eye on it, and then if they see any of those deer or ibex or whatever you call them being killed, then they will know that's an area they should pressure. They also probably wanted to check for this super early mill.
Yep. Early barracks, too. We've seen some people go for a drush here. So I think Nikov's also trying to scout the front of Lix's base. And if you see the berries has milled, then you know that they have not milled the sides. But for now, Nicov hasn't really seen anything to give him a clue. But right now, I'm kind of assuming that this will be a fast scout rush for Nicov, even without the food source on the sides. And in general, I really like to see take map control, force the opponent to react to you, and if they're reacting to you, then head out to the sides to take the food.
All right, it looks like Lix is going to be clicking up here with 20 pop? 21 pop.
21 pop, okay. Adding the barracks. It looks like it'll be men-at-arms, Dave. Yeah, I expect a lot of walls. Walling up already. So, I guess you didn't see this moment, but it was actually 6. So, it was the exact same Civ matchup, Leary versus MBL. Leary... Well, first off, MBL was already fully walled. MBL fully walled his area at the bottom by like the 7th or 8th minute. Leary goes 20 pop man-at-arms with Archer follow-up, right? And Leary notices that MBL had snuck some villagers out to the side, and so he runs his 3 men-at-arms and scout over there. MBL's villagers, since they have wheelbarrow and feudal with Vikings, were faster than the man-at-arms, and he just literally just ran right back into his base without taking any damage. It was amazing. Like, it's really something you have to factor in to taking the sides here, because wheelbarrow affecting villager speed is no joke. So maybe even pick Berbers. I don't know, but
I'm
funny
just
moment.
surprised. Like you go Indians here to go into Men-at-Arms, like 20 pop Men-at-Arms, and you're against Vikings.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a strong opening? It doesn't feel strong to
Yeah.
me.
I think it's unexpected, which is nice. But in this case, Lix is on point, and you could maybe think that he's
Lix
given
saw
up.
him going to the gold. Lix saw him going to the gold with the villagers. I saw the scout run right past it, so he knows. And now he's gonna see the militia.
That's so
He's
good.
gonna know exactly what's happening.
So many people would be fatigued or just maybe losing hope right now with this scoreline, but Lix is here to fight. And Viking Men-at-Arms, they will actually have more HP. And for the most part, I actually think that this is going to end up being a little worse for Nicov. Let's see, though. This scout could be annoying. He should attack Lix's scout right now. Okay, never mind. He's looking for an opening. That's the wiser move. And yeah, Lix will just play defense here. No problem. I just want to know if we're ever going to see Nicov go over to the sides.
With villagers or with his military? Because I think villagers, he's thinking about doing it right now.
Yeah, I was thinking Vills, and then, of course, maybe military. Has he scouted both sides? Let me see. He did scout both sides now, so if the deer are ever moving around, he might know that there's something over there.
Well, he's going out with villagers to mill the one in the north. So he's going to get that extra food income there. Indian villagers take shorefish very, very quickly indeed. And now Lix is moving across the middle of the map. Nikov's space is a whole lot more open than Lix's is. And that gold at the front is exposed. The berries are also a bit exposed if he loops around.
Oh, big moment, Dave. I think he just noticed. Lix was going to the right, and he just checked the fog of war, and you can see the deer moving when they're over there. So I think, and I could be wrong, but I think he just noticed, and he's sending units over that way, but he actually sees the gold now and the range. And unfortunately for Lix, Nicov has brought his Man-at-Arms home, and I actually think that's a good play because Nikov's gaining the food advantage in the north. He's a bit exposed if he's just attacking walls at Lix's base, so it's forcing Lix away. No problem for Lix.
Kind of stalematy here. Both players not able to use their Men-at-Arms to do any damage, but I think that benefits the Viking player more because you do get wheelbarrow when you upgrade to the next stage. So anytime the game is even and you're against Vikings, it's weird because it's like an advantage for the Viking player for the game to be even.
That's true. Yeah, and oh my goodness, that fight, though, is actually pretty good. Nicov, what the? He's lost an archer. I guess he did kill the scout in the end. And okay, the fight looks a little better now, but I think losing the archer there hurts. Because the Men-at-Arms won't matter too much long term. You could actually use them to kill the deer on either side. That's a nice touch, but there's going to be ranged units only at home for Lix. Lack of scout hurts him, though, and that might be a concern as he has not scouted everything yet.
Yeah, Lix kind of had me in the first half with that fight, not going to lie. But Nicov pulls it out there. Superior scout micro. 2 Men-at-Arms still alive are nice for Nicov. I mean, you can pressure down palisade walls faster. You have the archers behind, but obviously with Lick going into archers of his own and fully walled, he should be fine. And he should be able to click up quicker. I say that, but I just remember Nicov has villagers on shorefish.
Yeah, also, because he went up so quickly and it was so expensive for all this, he didn't get his wood upgrade. I guess it's not the end
He's
of the
never
world,
getting that.
but...
He's never getting that. He's never. It's going to be like 45 minutes and that thing is still going to be unresearched.
Should we start making bets on when that upgrade's coming in? Because this is one you normally get early feudal. Maybe he clicked it. It also won't, he probably won't feel it as much because his eco will look good with the food count. But fletching now for Lix, I also really like what Lix did there. He's killed important units. He killed the archer with the Men-at-Arms, and then he sniped that archer before attacking the Men-at-Arms with the scout over his own wall there. Plenty of farms, free wheelbarrow, of course. Nikov's got to do a little bit of damage here, I feel.
And I think he's under the same impression, Tristan. That's why he's splitting up his army, looking for openings. Might end up losing these 2 archers here against Lix.
Yep.
Good pickoff.
Very good pickoff, yeah. And it just doesn't really seem like... I mean, I'm waiting to see what the resources look like for a Nicov in a bit because he is in the shorefish, but it really doesn't seem like this is a bad play at all for Lix, Dave. And this is what makes this map so fun. And Vikings, a lot of people thought islands. We have it here on slopes, and it seems to be doing good. If you get to a lot of crossbowmen, maybe pikemen in the mid game, I think... while Indians do have their own crossbow, and they do have elite skirm, it just doesn't feel as strong long-term to go towards archery range units.
Nicov working his way towards Castle Age. I think Lix and him are going to click up around the same time. Those fish have expired now.
Yep.
There are no more fish, so Nikov's going to slow down a little bit on the food income, but he's slowly putting down farms, and we are going to most likely get to the Castle Age without much more action here.
Oh boy, that was a big moment there for Nicov. He got 1 pick. He'll get 2, but he loses 1. I mean, not the worst, but I think he'll be happy with the fact that Lix wasn't patrolling, and I'm with you. Maybe Lix should keep his units alive now. Nikov's done a great job of tracking him every time he goes forward.
Yeah, if you're Lix and you see this production, you have to know that Nicov has 2 ranges, and you only have, well, you only had 1. So maybe keep your units alive and take the trades that you've already gotten, build up your numbers.
Look at Nicov. Like, these are the things that 99.999% of people would never do. 3 HP man-at-arm. And now he knows the archers are over there, and now he can trap that army. That's huge.
If you're Lix, do you just kill those Ibex?
I'm surprised people don't do it more frequently, because even in Castle Age, like, when people are focused in the middle, what's to stop you from placing 4 villagers there? You know?
Yeah.
So I would have liked Nicov to actually do that with the man-at-arms, but I guess having that as a scout is also helpful. And Lix attacked the wall, and now he's going to hide. Let's see if he can hide here. Got to be real sneaky, I think. Uh-oh. That's not going to work out.
Not very sneaky.
That's not very Lix-like, is it? Well,
that was actually... I'll counter and say that was probably as unsneaky as you could be in that situation.
On the bright side, though, he did kill 2 archers.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's skirms in there. You really shouldn't do well. So, I guess... in his dying moments, Lix was able to get value. And
he added a 3rd range, too. So he's going heavy into production here. All 3 ranges producing a couple archers, and both players are going to be into the Castle Age at around the same time. I like Lix's position better here.
Well, it really depends on how the armies are used, because Nicov he's got 2 forces that could do so much. Imagine if he arrives to the gold on the left side and the wood line on the right side at the exact same time in Castle. He's got 2 forces that could do that. But then it also could be split up and he might have no defense. So I think if Nicov wants to be the proactive player here, he should honestly show himself now. Attack something, so Lix has to chase you down.
Yeah, I think once Lix sees the Castle Age time from Nicov, what he should do is bring this army back, get a TC on that wood line, and get a TC on that gold, like the opposite end of that gold.
Mm-hmm.
Secure those 2 things while building up your military, and then push out. But he's going to, it is Lix. He's going to opt to go forward right away with his crossbows, and Nikov's going to hit both areas, just like you said, Tristan.
This is sick, man, but also at the same time, Dave, look at the reaction from Lix. And the TC will probably still go up on the other side. Now, look what Nicov has to deal with. Uh-oh.
Oh, that's a gate. Oh, those things die so quickly. And now the archers are in. How many are in those ranges from Nicov?
Not enough.
He's only got like 7 units there. Panic Siege Workshop.
And that's
just go in. Just go in if you're Lix. Just go in.
Hey, really? Do you
don't micro the villagers. Just run in.
He has to micro the villagers. Otherwise, he'll be trapped, I think. He's in, and Dave, great call, because, man, was that worth it. The Siege Workshop might not even go up from here, and Lix has a big Vill lead, plus he got Wheelbarrow for free in Feudal. Nicov doesn't have that. Plus he has Handcart. The Siege Workshop does go up, excuse me, but look at the reward from massing those units. That was beautiful.
Oh, that was, even if he loses this army for free right now, he's going to be super happy with that. That was a disaster for Nicov there. Villagers had no idea where to go. And remember, he was off gold for that entire time period.
At the same time, though, you look back at Lix's eco, he might regret tossing some of his numbers away because he doesn't have gold. And now you look at the military count, it's 14-2. So
he's not producing at all.
Doesn't have the gold for it, right? So
neither player is. Okay, Nikov's just added a few more, but wow.
I mean, we saw with Nikov's grouping in early Castle how good he is at hitting the right spots. He should realize now, like, when you lose 7 vills, or what was it, 12 in this game, you lose 12 vills and you still have a score lead, that tells the player that the enemy has nothing in terms of military. So he could just micro-nerd his way and actually give himself a chance here, I feel.
Yeah, and Lix is sending, oh boy. Lix is sending how many villagers to gold right now? Like 20? Oh
Enough.
my goodness.
Enough. You can't even...
I'd love to see a TC on the other side of that. Even if you can't produce from it, just lock down that gold somehow.
Look at Nicov, man. Anytime an army gets addressed, and I think you called it, Dave. I think we will see a TC, but anytime an army gets addressed, he's moving the next one. Sitting behind the wood line in the south, just out of range of the TC. Bringing in a Scorpion over here. Moving around the crossbows. This is where good players can bring it back. But if you lose your military, if you don't get value from it, and it ends up being even at any point, you're in big trouble against Vikings.
He did get the wood upgrade, by the way.
Oh, he did. Nice. All right. Next wood upgrade would be helpful.
I mean, another lumber camp would be good, too. But we don't think...
Oh, God. Oh, God. Well, he's microing. He's microing right now. We don't have time for lumber camps. Okay.
That never would have happened without the wood upgrade. They'd still be chopping the old trees.
That's true. Well, he's making a new lumber camp now. He's realized it. It only took him a couple seconds. I like how we have Scorpion micro right now. Nikov's is weak, so he's trying to micro. This is what I mean about Nicov. Nicov, stop it. Dude, he just got crazy value. Forcing repairs with a weak Scorpion. I like it, Dave. And I like the way this game is played out. Lix has the eco lead, but he's going to be under pressure. He hasn't been able to expand. And Nicov, he's up 3-1 here. I actually believe that he could somehow still do this against Vikings.
I mean, you have to look at that villager difference. You're thinking 14 vills difference plus wheelbarrow and handcart.
It's rough, dude. That's rough.
Really
and he also
rough.
Doesn't have a second TC either. So I'd typically argue that Indians can boom their way back into this with cheap vills.
Yeah.
But
Or thinking like, what do Indians go into? Do you go into Lycav and, you know, you're thinking about it and then you look back at your base and
Four
you
farms.
have 6 farms.
Yeah. And this is another thing back to the sides. I actually think that Nicov, since after losing those, or killing the crossbows, he should have 4 villagers bringing in 1,000 food on the right side. It's easy to say for us, and it could be more of a risk, but, you know, he's just got to be mindful of that, and it's hard to balance your eco when you rely on that, too, in the early game. But right now, 2 Mangonels, one of which is on the hill, about to be 3 Mangonels. If Lix loses this TC, that's the Vill difference right there. So he really needs good value.
Okay, Nikov's going into stables here. He's got 2 stables on the front. He's trying desperately to add farms.
Okay. And Lix going for a counter, which should work kind of well. But if he doesn't defend himself, he just lost. Did he lose this Mangonel? Where is it? Oh, there
No,
it is.
it looped all the way around. He's having some pathing issues with that. Nicov saw the Mangonel coming in right away.
Oh my, you're kidding me, dude. That could be the game. That could be the series right there. If this TC goes down, look at the Vills. He doesn't have wood Lix. He can't repair it. You're kidding me. Lix is ahead by 20 Vills. Nicov says, I don't need Vills. I don't need... Look, again, dude. Okay, loses that one, but still, I'm so impressed with Nicov right now.
Yep, he knows that he needs to keep his attention there. This is his only chance to stall out, to try and get the food eco rolling for his light cab so he can get them into the economy from Lix.
And again, the micro. Just recognizing that it's going to be happening. This is as crossbows are hitting him. And Lix with the response, but Nicov with the dodge, and Nicov with the shot, and the repairs, and the villagers going down, and the garrison, and this is crazy Age of Empires. And on the other side, Lix was losing his crossbows, so he's clearly put more focus over here, and now Nicov is losing some crossbows. Can we just cancel the main event and just do Nicov versus Lix games all the time?
I like this. The quality is there, for sure. The quality is here, and we've seen it today. That TC is really close to going down, but now the crossbows are not beside the Mangonels. Lix has a Mangonel out of his own. I'm surprised he didn't kill that.
It was the hill. You get a direct shot uphill, and it's going to
But
take
it was
down to
already
5 HP.
weak. It was already weak. It only
was
did
it?
like, yeah, it did like 10 HP to it.
Dave, Lix doesn't have military, man.
Nope.
Nicov is just going to run underneath the TC to stop the repairs. Look at
And
this.
he's gonna raid. He's gonna raid on the right-hand side. He's got more
Oh
Mangonels.
my God, Nicov, where is this coming from? All in aggression from Nicov. He wants to be back in Hidden Cup. This is crazy. Look at this micro nerd, and how can you even argue? that he doesn't deserve to be in the main event when playing like this. This is ridiculous.
How do you even snowball something like this? He had nothing. He had no momentum whatsoever. Goes for the siege on that TC to the left. Goes for the siege in the middle to the right. And constantly microing his crossbows out of the range of that Mangonel from Licks. Constantly microing all of his units. Unbelievable play from Nicov here. Wow.
There's a lot of people who, over the years of Hidden Cups, have thought that Nicov could have gone very deep into the tournament if he didn't face up against the event champion early on in 2 of them. And he had to qualify here because he was not able to make it into the top 8. Of course, random seeding makes life difficult. But Nicov, I mean, let's be honest, man. Like, what he just did over the last 5 minutes, there's only so many people in the world that could do that. It's disgusting. And his eco's not that bad now. He's going to add a second TC. He realizes he's at least even up the scores. That was so fun to watch. And
Needs some new lumber camps again, but
yeah, I guess lumber camp micro could be improved.
Yeah.
Oh god, dude, but he's back again. He's back again. Crossbow's running in. It's just look at that. He's just the better player. He's so quick, Dave. He is so quick. And the thing about Nicov is he's prepared and prepared and prepared for this. It means so much to him. And now he is ahead. He has killed 38 villagers after losing 12 to start off Castle Age. Disgusting.
Yeah, the game sense from Nicov. He knows exactly where to push and when to push. And when his opponent is sending military to counter something on one side, he pushes in on the other.
Yep.
It's really great stuff. And realizing that that gold is like Lix's lifeline.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
Completely focusing on it.
That's true. Yeah, and the other thing is you have a golden stone on one side up the hill. I guess he hasn't actually scouted this, so we can't give him credit for it, but he is controlling this side, and there's another gold there, and also has the middle where there's also gold. So Nicov still, I mean, after all of that, is only ahead by 6 villagers, and it's still Vikings, and Lix has 3 TCs. So that just made the game even. That's how far behind Nicov was. And Lix has been able to get a TC on the right side, or I guess the south, has some good wood control. Actually has more on food. I think the lack of military control is going to be a problem against Nicov, as Nicov is going Cav Archers now, but Lix is definitely still in this with Vikings.
Yeah, Lix's economy, though, is pretty spread, and that's going to be an issue against Cav Archers. Nicov can use the mobility, and we've seen that he knows how to multitask. We've seen that this game so far. I mean, lumber camp placement still I'm questioning, but definitely the multitasking is there.
So Dave, here's a thought. So I, on occasion, will rewatch some of my wins and losses. You know, the wins would be like, wow, I did that well. But most of the time I'm like, wow, I should have done that better. Losses, of course, you try and improve. If you're this good, would you just not like rewatch your recorded games all the time? Like, oh my God, look at that. It's like,
I think the better you get, the higher your standards get, right?
Yeah, yep.
So they're going to be seeing things that we don't notice, and they're going to be thinking that's a mistake, and a bit of a mistake here from Nicov to not notice that Mangonel coming in from Blix from the offside.
Yep, notices it. Now noticing these units, sending some scouts over for it. I mean, while he was losing that Mangonel, he actually was killing 5 villagers. So that's good.
He's raiding in the south.
Oh my God,
big
dude.
time. Blix doesn't even notice. This is what I was talking about, the Cav Archers.
Yep.
You get your economy spread, they can use that mobility to show up at places you don't want them to be.
Just sees everything. He reacts even a second too late. You're going to lose more. Lynx has killed 13 villagers. I wish I could go back and know if it was 13 at the very start of Castle Age. I think that was it. And Nicov has killed 51 villagers, Dave. This is unbelievable dominance. Oh. Crazy. And I mean, Lix just got to be... I mean, Lix is really doing everything he can, right? It's just that Nikov's being so proactive. Every time he shows up to one area, Nikov's in again in another area. Look, the Cav Archers are coming in. There's skirms and Mangonels. It's just he doesn't have military in every spot.
It seems over. Seems very over.
It does. And I kind of like it in a way, because while Lix is really fun to watch, and he opened up the series strong, Dave, you want the best players in events, and Nicov has shown in the series, but also in this game, if he does close it out, of course, he is definitely deserving of the spot. He has played so good.
Yeah, it seems like he turned it up to the next level for this last game too.
Yep.
This is crazy. He's gonna find another army from Licks. That's gonna be caught out. Light cav archers, crossbows. We got scorpions. We've got mangonels. We've got everything from Nicov, and Licks just can't handle it. He taps out. Well played from Nicov, taking the set 4-1.
Yeah, my salutes go out to both players. Licks, I didn't even have him making it to the best 7 decider. That's how good the competition is. And he was able to beat Miguel, someone who I saw playing in this best of 7. And Licks, he redefined the meta on islands by not playing islands as others do. And I think we established that he could have maybe gotten 1 or 2 more wins here, Dave, but he has certainly improved from last year. I would love to see Licks in a future Hidden Cup, but it's just not his time.
And I think the important takeaway here is that Licks did this playing standard, and he's not even known for his standard play.
True. Yep.
He's known for his craziness, and we didn't see a whole lot of craziness in this set.
Maybe that's it too. Like maybe a bit more craziness. Maybe if he closes out that cross game, make it a bit more awkward for Nicov, because clearly in meta situations, Nicov is just going to dominate. And I think that come main event, the players won't know who they're up against, but no one wants to be facing Nicov. I know Nicov has faced Viper a lot, and Nikov's probably going to complain about that in the interview in a second. But yeah, seriously, Nicov, that's scary stuff right there, dude. All right, I'm going to show these statistics here. Again, at the end of the game, Nicov had killed 53 villagers, only losing 13. And I'd like to see what Licks was able to achieve economically. Honestly, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be here. I guess Nicov didn't have many farms for a while, but Licks with more stone and Licks with more food. But Nicov had all the wood and gold to make crossbows, mangonels, and cav archers, and he definitely made it count. 2-1 KD. Honestly, kind of rare in Age of Empires to see that. And the timeline just shows how consistent he was with his moments in that age. All right, Dave, I think we're going to have Nicov hop in here, and we're going to interview him and hear what he has to say.
You mind if you do it alone?
That's fine. Yep, take all the time you need.
Take a little break here?
Yep,
awesome, thank you.
Go for it. I'm known for my interviewing prowess anyways. And let me just message Robo, but I know Nikov's probably around. He's probably pumped. Let's see if Robo can get him in here. Get Nicov in casting booth, question mark. What a set, man. That was a joy to watch. Like there are sets, of course all of these have been great, but some of them I just watch the gameplay and I just think, thank God I'm a caster, you know? Thank God I'm just a Twitch pleb. Thank God I'm just watching and judging in Twitch chat. Am I right, Twitch chat? People already getting excited for Slam and Vinchester next. That will be the final decider. Hey, thank you for all the Twitch primes today. There's been a lot of them. Makiyiko, you're one of them. Thanks for 28. Sea Squirrel, thank you. So many new people here, so much hype, and so many viewers for just the qualifier. Robo's going to message Nicov. I assume it might be a minute or two. If you have any questions, you can maybe think of them. You can type them in chat. If I see good question, I can steal your idea. I can't give you credit, though, because I probably won't be able to read your name. Chat's too fast, so please don't sue me if I steal your question, all right? Mayo says, what is Twitch Prime? I honestly don't know. I've been streaming for a while. I have no clue what Twitch Prime is. But I know that 10 gifted subs is good. Farland, thanks, man. Nicov, Seed 8, making it through. Exciting stuff. While we wait for Nicov to maybe join, I'm not sure if I should ask him myself. I mean, he just played for a few hours. He might be, like, washing up, running around the house, jumping up and down, super happy. Robo says, he said 1 minute. Perfect. Okay, so Nikov's going to join. Spoilers, if you have not seen any of the other sets, we're not spoiling what happened today, but spoiling what happened in the previous 2 days. This is what we're looking at as far as the players that are playing in the main event. So, the first 2 days, Jordan, Velez, Bact, Barles, and ACCM all qualified. Barles, the first name to join that has never played in a Hidden Cup before. So, Barles, that set was unreal. He was down 3-1, and he was able to bring it back. ACCM, as many expected, getting through, though it was a tough task for him. And we'll get Nicov in here, but Nikov's certainly on that list. Of course, we did have a set earlier today too, between Vivi and Bad Boy. The final set is left, and that will be Slam and Vinchester, probably one of the biggest ones. And hello, Nicov.
Hey there.
How you feeling, man? That was a crazy series.
Oh man, I hate playing qualifiers. It's such a stress. So it's such a relief right now. I'm
Yeah.
really happy with my performance today.
Yeah. Well, I honestly, of all the Hidden Cup players, like we've talked about it, the random seeding has definitely not been kind to you. And so seeing as many of these tournaments are based on previous results, you had to qualify from time to time. And it's a lot of work. Can you talk about your preparation, your practice, all that in the lead up to this qualifier?
Yeah, I practice a lot of games with Daniel mostly.
Okay.
And also some games with Hart, some games with Capoch, many games with Jordan. We practiced a lot a couple of weeks ago. I actually practiced with many people this time, but to get used to different styles and of course to play leagues, there is no one I can train with. I can play like him, right? Because I can play Island versus Togao and he will never land me like leagues. There was no point. So I just decided, okay, there is no point on practicing for tomorrow. We just prepare some builders like the Bulgarians one in Hideout, which was like tested it yesterday and I liked it.
Okay.
My idea was doing it versus Cameron or Franks.
Were you were expecting Kamur, you said, and not Franks in that Hideout game? Because that was a surprise to me.
Yeah, I was expecting Cameron.
Okay, interesting. So yeah, that is a bit of a weird one. Can you tell viewers what you said to me about Licks? Because you faced Fire the previous round, and you won 3-2, and it was a really close set. Like, it could have gone either way. Fire was playing out of his mind, and then you're up against Licks. Can you tell viewers kind of your outlook on playing against Licks, I guess?
I just rather play versus Euro players like Lickstam versus super meta players like Miguel or Fire, like lost in previous round. So I was, it was sad for Miguel for losing this round 2, but I was also happy for facing Licks instead of Miguel because I think Miguel's super meta playstyle can counter me quite well.
Okay, I see. So yeah, had Miguel won, maybe you feel that the meta playstyle could hurt. Okay. Any surprises here? I mean, game 1 Chinese, that was the very first pick for Licks, and in that game, Licks he got everyone really aware that he can play meta. Were you worried after that game? Because he did really do well. Were you still confident with all your strats?
No, Arabi was my map to lose. I mean, I didn't even pick a single Arabi other than Hans later.
Yeah.
I'd rather pick good seeds for all the other maps instead. So I was like, okay, we'll try Hans versus Chinese. Let's see how it goes. Maybe I can mass CA and be annoying, right?
Yep.
But I think what cost me the game was when he hit Castlation, I didn't go back home. I needed to keep those bunch of X was alive and I lost them all. I think that was the moment when I lost the game.
Okay. Yeah, I think it would have been tough, right? Licks played it well, but you're right. I mean, it didn't help. But it was tempting to try and break in there. What was game 2 then? Was game 2... Game 2 was Cross, I believe. No, that would have been Hideout.
No, Hideout.
Yeah. So your only home map that you played. Why Bulgarians? Because you're expecting
because
Kamur?
It's good, man. Instamar turns. What else you want? Instamar turns towers. Like, you're a VB fan. You should like that kind of things.
Okay. So you think Bulgarians is something that maybe you do more frequently there? Like, would you put Bulgarians in the top 5 or no?
No. It was just a one-time strategy. I don't think I can repeat it again because the enemy will expect it.
Okay. Well,
wait for me with Madams and 10 bills to ready to fight. So
I mean,
it was a one-time thing.
I hate how you're saying that because if I ever see Bulgarians picked in the main event now, I'm just going to assume that it's you. But
by the way, I learned that game that unique tech doesn't affect halberdiers. I'm gonna say it's sad.
Wait. So there's 2 unique ticks for Bulgarians. You have Stirrups, which affects the Conics and the Cavalier, right? And the Hustlers, I think. And then the second one is Bagains. And wait a second, you thought that Bagains affected health?
Affected halves, yes. I was like, oh, holy crap, I will have plus 8 armor halves. And then now they were trash until I died to Paladins. I feel like a bot right there. I was like, why did you read the Tech 3 before?
Okay. Yeah, Nicov, I have to say, I've never once thought that Bagains applied to Halbs, so maybe you should play Bulgarians a little more frequently, but, you know...
It was embarrassing as well.
Yeah, I mean, you did a good job in that game. You got the win, so whatever. I was casting with Leary yesterday, and everyone seems to be learning things as this qualifier is going on. So, next game then is Cross, and I think Cross was a big one. That game, you picked Lithuanians, which was your first pick, one of your best picks, I suppose, and you had those golds on the front, right? Do you think that if you didn't get redemption to convert 1 or 2 siege units, that you lose that game?
Yeah, I would die. Redemption saved me completely. Because
Wow.
it allowed me to retake the hill, converting the Mongol and the Scorpion, and push back with the Pikeman. So
Yeah.
yeah, that was a key technology I got.
Sick. Yeah. I mean, it was absolutely clutch. And I guess the final question, there were a lot of games. I won't go through everyone.
Please
But
don't mention Nicov, Chris. I know that.
oh yes, actually, no, I'm
I
going to
know it,
mention
man.
it now.
I also know that 20 idols every year. Whatever, it's part of my identity, I guess.
Wait,
I can't fix that, man. I had to change the hockeys, and I will not do that right before the main event. Maybe later.
wait a second.
But
wait
I
a
know I
second.
suck with the eco. Please don't depress me.
Uh, so is it? Let's talk about that. I'm sorry, you just won. You're happy, so it's time to be a little more sad. All right. So eco upgrades. Why so late with them? Is it because you're moving around so fast and you just forget and you're focused on the fights, or what?
Depending on the game. I mean, when I play super aggressive, I mean, I guess it's normal that you just can't look back at the eco for more than 2 seconds and I just forget about the eco upgrade. So I just don't have the resources because I'd rather invest in extra armor instead. And sometimes I just forget, and sometimes I thought I clicked and I didn't. Like in the hideout, I thought I got the wheelbarrow in Village with Bulgarians, and in the end I realized, oh shit, I don't have it. When I had like 100 builds, and I was like, fuck,
No, you had
can't
100.
escape the meme, man.
You didn't know. Listen, Nicov, you didn't have 100 villas. You had 147 villagers when you got wheelbarrow. I'm pretty sure.
Okay, thank you.
Oh man, dude. Well, that's
I don't
funny.
know how to fix that really. I need coaching.
You need coaching. Well, okay. I think there's a lot of people in Twitch chat who might be able to coach you with that. Honestly, there's a lot of people. So, well, it's funny because I remember looking back at some games from previous Hidden Cups. At the time I was casting, I didn't know it was you, and someone researched wheelbarrow at like 50 minutes, and chat was saying Nicov, and I was like, no, there's no way, right? And it actually ended up being you. So maybe that is our best tell. But as far as your overall form goes, you said you prepared. You were confident here. How are you feeling going into Hidden Cup 4 compared to previous Hidden Cups about your ability and chances?
The main difference with the Hidden Cup 3 is that this time I don't care about the seeding. I mean, not the seeding, the first match. Like, to be completely honest, for the Hidden Cup 1, 2, 3, I was feeling like a top 8 maybe. And I was like, okay, as long as I don't face Viper, Leary, Tato, etc., I should win the first round, right?
Okay.
But nowadays, I don't know. I just feel like the level rise too much and I'm just stuck there. So I don't really feel like a top 10 anymore. So I think I can lose to all 16, all 15 rather. So I don't really care about the first match
Okay.
this time.
Yeah, might be a bit of a positive, honestly. Like, it might bring some stress. Like, oh no, am I against this person? The level is very high, but you don't think that you have the skills to be top 8, or do you just think you haven't proven that recently?
No, I think I just can't catch up on the rest. I keep improving, and I don't know. I feel like I played the same as 3 years ago, to be honest. Maybe worse.
Interesting. I actually disagree in some aspects. I think it's just consistency. Like you've shown for years and at times today, like various aspects of technical ability that only a few players have. It's just not easy to do it consistently, right? Like you don't get sleep, you don't feel good, and then you don't perform on the day. That's what made Viper's dominance in all these tournaments for years look so good, right? It's just always consistency. So
yeah, the only thing that I think I have improved is actually the emotion control.
yeah,
Because versus Fire I was down 2-1 and I just went forward twice, like with all the confidence. And 1 year ago I was just depressed. The 4th game I just died like nothing, right?
yeah.
And today I started the wrong foot, game number 1, and I still keep the confidence there. So I think in that regard I improve a lot.
Yeah, that's a big aspect.
Mental strength.
Yeah,
I need the technical improvement.
okay. Yeah, I think that's a big aspect in age. Especially in long sets that can take hours. One moment can frustrate you, and if you get too frustrated, then other things don't happen. But thanks for your insights, man. And I'm really happy for you. You have earned your spot in yet another Hidden Cup. Of course, anything can happen on the day. One final question. Does playing with hidden identities make it better or worse for you, or does it not really matter?
I think unless you're Huang, it doesn't really matter because it affects both players. But Huang would be happily play like that because no one would expect a Huang, right? So any other player, I think it's the same for both, really. Unless it's a very atypical play, like, I don't know, Tato preparing some very special strat or some map or doubt. But other than that, I think the hidden identity doesn't affect too much.
Okay. The new maps. Did you look at the 5 new maps by chance? I'm sure you'll have to get some practice games
No,
on those.
I only saw the pictures in your stream yesterday, I think the day before.
Okay.
But I didn't really even test them because what's the point if I don't make it this
Yeah,
round?
yeah,
So I
yeah,
was
of
like, okay,
course.
I will play this weekend and then I take care of the other maps. Right now, not in my head.
Okay, cool. Well, I think that's going to shake things up a little bit. It'll make it harder for us to guess who you guys are, certainly. And Nicov, congratulations, man. Making it back to another Hidden Cup. You had a lot of fans cheering for you. You deserve it. And I say this all the time, but players who prepare and practice, I like to see those players win as opposed to those who might just have a lot of skill but not necessarily always put in the work. So you earned it, man. Congrats.
Thanks, man. I'm a bit disappointed with you. You didn't ask me whether it's Pants or Bay. And you asked anyone else. Every other player, but you didn't ask me.
Well, I asked them because they were co-casting with me. Okay, is it Pants or Bay, Nicov?
It's Bay, man. It's not Pants. Where are the Pants there? Actually, I know it's Bay. For me, it's Bay.
Thank you. Nicov, we're going to... I don't know
I need
who
to say that, really. I was holding it for like weeks.
Really? You're holding that in? Okay. That's funny. Yeah, it's getting a little out of hands, man. Viewers just like to rename maps. You know, they think they have so much control over the tournaments nowadays. Come on. All right, man.
Enjoy the last set of the day. And
Yeah.
see you
Who do you
next
think's
time.
going to win, actually, between Slam and Vinchester?
Slam 4-2 is my prediction, but could be either way.
Okay, cool. Well, thanks, Nicov. Again, congrats, and we'll see you around.
See you, man. Thank you.
All right, guys. Salute Nicov, please. You know, it was a little disheartening when he was like, I just don't feel like I'm as good anymore. But after watching that 4th game, like, I watched that game and saw some god tier ability. And you know what? I feel bad about myself now. That's what it is. Because that was unreal, man. He lost like 12 or 13 villagers, turned that around and killed 53. And then he's like, yeah, I'm not really good. I'm just... Get out of here, Nicov. Nicov is incredible, man. If he can play with his... if he can be cutthroat in his decision-making and limit the mistakes, I think he could be really dangerous in Hidden Cup 4. And again, he goes to the list of qualified players. And the players will be playing on March 18th in the main event with these accounts. So I'm going to just make a wild guess that Nikov's going to be Werewolf. Now, there's a 1 in 16 chance that actually happens, and it's all random. So if that happens, it's not rigged. All right? It's not rigged. Nothing has been sent out to players yet, but that's my guess. But yeah, truthfully, we're just going to look and see which player did not research eco upgrades at a good time, and then also has extreme technical ability, and then I would probably say Nicov.